This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Friday, March 13th.
Ooh.
Okay. I'm here.
I didn't know if we had a coordinated
We all had a thing.
That's a scary thing for all people in the world. They understand.
It's
Not
true.
adults. Let's go.
I'm here with Al, Lindsay, and Tori. Brandon is the day off, and Lindsay has something for the desk.
Yeah, because it's Friday the 13th and coronavirus craziness.
All right.
We got some crystals.
We got
Yes.
crystals.
Now, does it matter how we arrange them?
However you feel. What do you feel, Al?
I feel like that's good.
Okay. I'm glad we're all on the same page. All right. Has the president been exposed to the coronavirus? There are conflicting reports right now about whether or not the Brazilian president, Jair Bolsonaro, has tested positive. We do know he is awaiting further testing to confirm, but people who recently met with the Brazilian president, like the mayor of Miami, have tested positive for the virus. But do you know who also met with him? President Trump, along with Vice President Mike Pence and several other prominent U.S. leaders. They were all together at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. There they are. They even shook hands. They sat next to each other at a meal. They exchanged hats. It's not just the president. The communications chief for the Brazilian president, who you see here on the right, has also tested positive, and Trump clearly came into contact with him, as you see. Meantime, the president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, met with this Australian official recently who has now tested positive. I guess that's Pompeo over there, too, so he'd be right next to him, too. Other world leaders like Canadian...
I look like Barr, by the way.
Oh, William Barr, excuse me, you're absolutely right. Like Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has also been exposed. He's in self-quarantine right now after his own wife, Sophie, tested positive yesterday. Fears about the president having it, yay, we all have that. But should he, A, say something if he does, B, tell us if he's being tested, or C, go into quarantine? Or at least stop shaking hands, Vice President Pence. Please stop shaking hands.
I mean, as much as I appreciate and want transparency, I don't want chaos. And I think that if the president, the leader of the free world, says, hey, I have coronavirus and I'm in that age bracket where I can be really heavily affected, I think that the world might begin to panic, as I kind of started to melt down, I think, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day. So if I melted down, I was pretty stable this whole 2-3 weeks that it's been getting crazy. I think that everybody who's just kind of needs that one thing that will trigger them, this will be the thing. I mean,
do you think that if we then find out that President Trump had coronavirus and lied about it, it would be okay with a huge scandal? Or do you agree with Lindsay on that?
I don't even know if I think we might be leaving the realm of scandals. I think because a scandal is something that you have the luxury to think about. I think now people are thinking about, what am I going to do with my kids because they're out of school? My kids are in LA public schools. They're no longer in school. I think people are going to say, what's going to happen with my Uber gig? What's going to happen with my waitress job, my bartending job? So any kind of scandal with the president, it will just further impact. It's a backseat, but it's there looming because it gives this vacuum of power. Yeah. It's like, who's in control? I want to see the person in control. So who's saying something? And when people stop talking, I think that's also scary as well. But I feel you. I think we have to be very cautious in how we approach this.
I do too, but I also want people to be transparent with us and let us know. And I want him to stop going to Mar-a-Lago and stay in probably one place, just because I want my leader to be safe.
But that's why doctors have bedside manner. You don't want your doctor to be like, dude, you're not going to believe your results. Like, you want there to be some kind of decorum.
I agree, but I also don't want your doctor to be like, you don't have it when you actually do. Like, I don't want my doctor to lie to me.
I think if the doctor is there, like, it's probably not great, especially if the clipboard has more than one piece of paper on it.
All right, everywhere you look, America is shutting down to try and slow the coronavirus pandemic. Disney is closing all of its U.S. parks, including Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and California Adventure. Meantime, 6 million kids across the nation are about to be out of school, as 6 states announce closing next week, and major school districts, and this is just in like Los Angeles, San Diego, Houston, and Denver, are also shutting their doors. Late night has also gone dark. Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers' show have all been suspended with production for the next few weeks. Even over on The View, 77-year-old Joy Behar announced yesterday that she's taking a break from the show just to be safe. I worry about parents who can't afford to even pay for their kids' lunch. I'm worried about no one having any money here, and I want to know from Congress that we have some kind of stimulus package.
That's what I mean. At the same time, you're wondering, okay, Congress is full of older people that are all going to go meet. Are you guys all going to go meet and come from your different cities and states, fly in and make this
Petri
decision?
dish.
Right. It seems like a petri dish. And then also, there's people who can't or aren't getting the time off. Like my mom, I would love for her to stay home. I called her yesterday. Her job did not say anything about giving them time off, and she works in the travel industry. So that fears me. You know, she's healthy, but she's in that age. So imagine kids that are staying home. They're with their grandparents mostly. That also scares me. Young kids don't have mild to no symptoms, most of them, if they do get it, and the grandparents are most susceptible.
Yeah, our incredible editor Jeff sent me an article before we started the show today, and Tori's so excited she spilled her coffee.
Excited about
it was quite an article. I did the same thing. I fumbled. But no, Jeff was saying that 3 out of 10. The article saying that 3 out of 10 Americans are in the gig economy in some kind of way. They're not in a union where they're guaranteed pay. They're in a job like a bartender, like a waitress, like an Uber driver, like a Postmates delivery person that depends on people using their services almost independently. So I do worry, Lindsay, like you said, about who is going to take care of those people because
just keep talking.
Yes, please. This is our incredible senior executive producer,
more
Bert.
than one job.
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Bert.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
it's a scary thing. And you know what?
So
Bert can do that because Bert has he's a guaranteed job, but a lot of Americans do not. So we have to make sure that we can work with them.
But also, a study came out a couple weeks ago that 50% of the country, or 49% to be specific, live check to check.
Yes.
So what does that one paycheck look like when it's taken away?
And then what if it's 2 paychecks,
Yes,
Lindsay?
Exactly.
I'm talking paid family leave. Let's hear something from Congress. Do something. Let's help Americans. A JetBlue passenger traveling, I can't believe my boss just cleaned the desk. A JetBlue passenger traveling from New York to Florida found out mid-air that he had tested positive for the virus. Now JetBlue has banned him from flying. It's a little late after he boarded the plane knowing he was waiting for the results. There were 114 passengers who were on board at the time, and this has us asking, what should be the penalty for people who break public health protocols and leave quarantine? And I'm someone that, if you ask me right now, a lot of people texting me, tweeting me, Tori, can we be forced into quarantine? The answer is yes. When you are in a state of emergency, you have broad powers. And I'm talking as broad as don't leave your home. I'm not trying to panic anyone, but I want you to know that that is something that's possible. So I think that if you break that, there should be a deterrent.
Right.
Negligence, battery even.
Can I ask you guys a question? Even though a lot of people, it might be convenient, why don't they park in handicap spaces? Why don't people park and just leave the meter? It's because they don't want to pay financial restitution for that. You don't yell at people, you don't public shame people, you hit them right there in the pocketbook. If there is a significant penalty for doing this kinds of stuff, I wish it was different. I wish we could just use our voices. You start hitting that checking account and people will stop. If it comes out, this human being
Was fined how much?
I don't want to go crazy. $2,500 bucks.
Right. But he has no regard for other people. So
That's what I'm saying.
Someone's grandmother or anybody who's on that plane that gets severely ill, you'll be upset if you were related to them and you're the person passing the virus.
So let's make an example out of this person and let them know, hey, you want to do this? Have at it, but if we catch you, you're going to pay.
I think you're absolutely right. Something financial would be a good deterrent. Well, how much responsibility do artists have if they're still performing at large concerts? Last night, the Post Malone concert in Denver was packed. Look at this. This is the Pepsi Center. It holds up to 20,000 people. This is the same venue where Denver's NBA and NHL would be playing had their seasons not already been suspended. But we got to ask, should concerts like this still happen? And should Post Malone have had an ethical obligation to say, yo, this is putting everyone in danger? And is this a generational thing, right? Are the millennials saying, you know, this isn't a big deal, but the boomers are worried?
I mean, I think that
I say that with respect, boomers.
Post Malone should be concerned just like everyone else is.
Right.
I thought that we passed the point where it was like, okay, funny, let's still do this. A lot of people were booking flights a couple of days ago, and then you see the president get on and see that this is obviously a state of emergency. The president's speaking again at, I think, 3 p.m. Eastern today.
Yes, later today.
So it's coming up soon, and we're going to see what he says again. I think all this stuff is moving the needle forward. This is not anything that we should joke about. We should take it very seriously.
So is that his responsibility?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So what? The Lakers can't play, but Post Malone can.
Like you're not immune.
It doesn't make you a tough guy, and it doesn't. It doesn't say, oh well, I'm going to go to concert anyway. That's no more selfish or less selfish than that man that was on the JetBlue flight that we talked about. There needs to be financial restitution paid because that's the only way people listen.
I agree.
Other than that, you have Post Malone on stage. So
that's true. Well, let us know how you feel. Maybe you disagree with us. Let us know, and I will clean my lab wrap from the coffee. DBL is live and coming up. Joan Lunden famously beat breast cancer in her 60s, and now she's revealing the secrets to aging with dignity. Lindsay catches up with her. And you, the viewer, are our fifth host. Wedding season's right around the corner, but will the coronavirus change your plans? What about going to other big family functions? Your comments are coming in next.
Clipping that of Bert. I'm clipping it personally.
We all needed a little levity, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's true.
Well, so these crystals, one is actually made out of a 3D printing machine. So it's not a true crystal, but it is cool. My good friend Orlando gave it to me, who Olivia also knows.
I thought, can I be honest?
This one, what?
I thought when she said, oh, is that from Orlando, she knew a crystal store in Orlando, Florida that you guys would order from.
The man's name is Orlando.
And it's a man named Orlando.
We can send him this clip.
And I'm like, can I be going to Florida?
This one is all about being safe while you're moving around, so I thought it was appropriate for today. And this one is all about being protected.
I feel like you just made that last one up.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, whenever somebody goes before they tell you what something
This one is really about being safe while
Let me tell
moving
you,
around.
this bead is for
Let's look it up. This one's
Sunday nights when you're playing bridge.
Saturday Night Fever for this one.
No, you know what though? I'm all about any kind of good juju, and I do. Even
I'm
though
a good juju.
I don't believe. There
Did
you
it?
go. Yes, double pun.
It's a Jew.
Anything that brings
I
good
get it.
energy, I'm all for it.
Me too. Like Tori just did some rain dance in the hallway in between the break, and I didn't understand what was happening. She could explain, but I felt good after it.
I took Lindsay in because we're all feeling something. I go, come here, and I go, let us there be. This is gonna sound like I'm a crazy person. Let there be white light of healing. Let us all bounce out the negative energy, and let us. I sound crazy, don't I? And let us all make sure that we only hear good, hopeful, joyous things, and we keep that in. I sound crazy.
And then I made her hands around my,
and then I went like that,
and I was like, oh, I feel kind of good. I don't know if it's all in my head.
I think I've lost Al.
A lot of things
friend.
are all in my head. Al does not want to be waved down in that type of manner.
Did I ever tell you, Lindsay, at the first round of auditions, when it was me, Erica, Jeff, Sam was there, super pregnant with Sophie, and I remember Tori made everybody do a warrior pose. Her, Erica, Jeff. We'll actually have a picture next break.
A warrior pose?
Yes,
Like this,
in the middle of the auditions. And I remember thinking, I was like, I don't know who these three are, but they're not making it.
Yeah, we all three made
like,
it.
who are these random?
If you go to a TED Talk and ask about the warrior pose, it's not the yoga one. Okay, bye. Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Fifth Host, and the coronavirus is on everyone's mind. And so are important events like weddings and birthday parties and bar mitzvahs and quinceañeras. But now many guests are debating whether or not to attend. This is real. This is hitting us all. In fact, one bride declared that any of the guests who RSVP'd to her upcoming wedding who don't attend will be, quote, dead to her. And she used that hand clapping emojis. The angry bride says she's already spent thousands. Now social media is fired up. DBL Nation, with the coronavirus going around, are you planning to attend large gatherings? And you should know many states have banned anything over 250, some even over 100.
So that's really close to that wedding number.
It's right there, yeah, exactly.
Mario from YouTube says, Bridezillas will always be Bridezillas with a capital B.
For Bridezillas, I'm hoping.
If I were one of her guests, she'd actually be dead to me. Ooh. And listen, I don't think that either were dead to either. Talking about all that. But I don't think you should treat people like that if you are having a wedding. Like we talked about Joy Behar earlier, she made a decision that's best for her as a 77-year-old woman going into an environment where there's other people. If somebody says they can't make it to your wedding due to all the travel restrictions and everything that's about to come up from coronavirus, you have to respect that and not shame them for it.
Yeah, and to your point, Lindsay, don't shame an older relative into coming to your wedding under the. I thought you loved me. I'm your nephew. You should come. It's like,
because maybe your grandma
how
will
terrible.
Be dead to
how
you. You know what I mean?
How terrible would you
That's
feel?
Extreme, Dory.
Well,
No,
yeah.
it's serious. Yeah, it's sad. Dana from Facebook says, "Why is this?" Says this is why I always say when it comes to special events, the smaller the better. That one extra person would be the one to ruin your special day anyway. Dana, that definitely came from something that happened to you this year. Yeah, but you know what? That's why it's like, cut down on the randoms at the wedding. Look, it's not a party. It's supposed to be a celebration. You're starting your new life with somebody. So have the people that are only closest to you. And if that means it has to happen over FaceTime on this or on Facebook portal, so be it. It's about the experience and it's about the ritual. It's not about, you know, how much money you spend.
I will say this, though. I have hair in my face. Sorry.
What is going on with you today?
I'm having an off day. It's a lot going on.
No, we'll do another rain dance.
A lot of people who go to bat mitzvahs or weddings, they spend a year or more planning. And then, so I do understand the frustration and the anger about that.
And I hope companies are helping people with that monetary cost.
Ridiculously.
Or helping them reschedule for no fees.
It's very frustrating. Well, Leah from Facebook says, I'm more concerned about being around strangers in a grocery store. I will still be going to smaller social gatherings like my monthly book club. You can't stop living completely. Leah,
you do.
I gotta ask you. I gotta tell you something. I just talked to our doctor, Dr. Coley. We all love her. She will be on the shows later on if you want to stay tuned. Cancel the book club. I mean it. They are saying do everything by telecommunication if you want a book club. Do not risk doing that. I'm not trying to scare you guys. I'm giving you facts from a doctor saying just for the next month or two, sacrifice the book club.
Tori, let's start something really quickly. Anytime you're starting a sentence with I, you're already messing up.
It's a great idea.
It should be we.
All right. Well, whoops, just kidding. Coming up on DBL, former Good Morning America host Joan Lunden is spilling the secrets of aging in a brand new book. She tells Lindsay all about it next. She is so cute. So I wanted to tell you two things. One, I'm sorry I said millennials. You're right. It was the people at that concert, and I don't like being grouped into groups. Good word, Story. But so I shouldn't have said millennials. Second, if you don't know what the warrior pose is, I won't do this, but the warrior pose in yoga is like this, but down. The warrior pose is different. If you watch a TED Talk, it's actually the most watched TED Talk, I think, of them all. She says before any big thing like an interview or a meeting, you want to make yourself as big as possible. So in the elevator going up, I'm going to do this. You make yourself literally as wide and you hold that for 20 seconds. And apparently the brain thinks you're like a bigger, badder, badass type of person, and your neurology changes and you come in more confident. So if you're nervous or whatever, in the elevator on the way up or before an interview, or as Jeff, Eric, and I did before the auditions, go ahead and take that pose. Privately, perhaps I did embarrass myself in front of Al. He thought I would not get the job, but it has really proven to be neurologically helpful. So why not get that extra little, like 2%, 3% that can help you out? You know what I'm saying? A little neuroses for you. I don't know why I'm going backwards. Today, everyone's feeling kind of, let's be calling it what it is because of the virus. We're going to keep it as fun and light for y'all as possible. Entertain the new ones that are watching. I know a lot of you are at home for the first time. So welcome. This is Daily Blast Live, and we interact with our audience as if you guys were on the panel. So welcome. We hope you enjoy. Feel free to write in Facebook, YouTube. We comment literally on there. And I'm going to keep backing up until I have to go.
Welcome back to DBL. Age ain't nothing but a number, right? No one believes that more than former TV host and journalist, New York Times bestselling author Joan Lunden. Earlier, I caught up with the breast cancer survivor to chat about her new book and the secrets to aging in today's DBL Spotlight. Joan Lunden, welcome to Daily Blast Live.
Great to be with you.
So you talk about how age is just a number and should not identify you. What age do you see yourself as today and why?
45.
Yes.
I think I got off the age train there. I think we all have that number in our head because you view yourself in a certain way. And I think that that's really important to aging well. What does that number really mean? I mean, and how important is it? Because sometimes it can make you feel that you're not relevant anymore, because how we treat ourselves is exactly how other people will treat us. So it's important that we keep this vibrant, capable, relevant attitude in our heads.
I agree with you, and you talk a lot about senior discounts. So what was your biggest senior discount? Oh no, I'm not that old moment.
So I was on the phone speaking with the Hollywood reporter. He sounded so young the second he said hello. His first question to me was, So what's it going to be like for you, Miss Lunden, going back to morning television as a senior citizen? I almost fell off my chair.
Oh, no.
Seriously, it was like one little moment in time that completely reflects how married we are to a number. And that the minute you're like 65, you're a senior citizen. It almost feels like you had to get out of line of all the people who can still like live life, be relevant, have fun. Fortunately, about 2 weeks later, I was in a big box store and I was buying a bottle of wine for a dinner party that night, and the young woman carded me. And I was like, hallelujah!
That's awesome. And you offer all kinds of advice for women navigating menopause, including how to maintain a healthy sex life. So is your sex life doing well?
My sex life is doing well. I married a guy 10 years younger, thank you very much.
Ooh, cougar. My
But
boyfriend's
you know
younger
what?
too.
Oh, yes?
Yeah.
I always joke that when I was 29, I got married, and I married a guy who was 39. 3 great kids, didn't work out. 20 years later, when I was 49, I got married again. I married a guy who was 39.
That's your lucky age.
I'll give you a moment to do the math on that one.
I like it. I have to ask you, what would you like written on your tombstone?
She was classy, sassy, and a bit badassy.
Yes.
But you know, that's because I want to be remembered that I lived life. I was vibrant and I remained interested in life and people and wanted to make my mark on this world.
And listen, Joan, my great-grandmother is 104 years old and still kicking and having a good time. So you have a lot of life ahead of you.
You know, I plan to make it past the 100 mark.
Thank you. And Joan's new book, Why Did I Come Into This Room, is available online and at select bookstores now. Joan, thank you so much for sharing with our DBL Nation.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Joan, keep living. We all look up to you. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought.
Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I'm your host, Jeray for the Slay, and today we're talking about how to keep these beautiful, beautiful lips staying all day long. I know, it's kind of crazy how fast we eat through lipstick, lip gloss, lip tints, all of that stuff all the time. But I got a couple tips here for you to make sure that you're going to have that lasting long wear all day. Now, my favorite products to use for a long lasting lip look is going to be lip stains. Yes, lip stains can really transform a look to make sure that you're going to have a whole day's wear without having to touch up too much. Now, I want to go ahead and break the myth. Even if you put it on and it says it's gonna stay all day, you're going to reapply at some point through the day. That's just what it is, my friends. I'm sorry, I do not have the magical answers here. You can do all of the 24-hour wear, all of that good stuff, but at some point, I bet you're going to eat or drink or have some sort of humanly function in which the lipstick is going to come off. That's okay though, that's all right. That's why we prepare, honey. That's why we have a plan A, B, and C. Okay, say it with me now, plan A, B, and C. So plan A, start with the lip stain for your day. This is a great way to make sure that you're gonna have a solid base and a good amount of color that's going to be long lasting. Now, I always like to go with something a little bit more with a little bit more of a pop, more of a bold finish. So then that way through the day, it's gonna transfer and it's gonna have a little bit more of a lighter effect by like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock when you're ready to hit those cocktails, okay? Now, when you're wearing a lip stain, look for something that's affordable, but still gonna give you that look. So I like lip stains from Ofra Cosmetics, LA Girl, Matte Cosmetics, and NARS. Those are my favorite lip stain companies. They have the best, and they're gonna make sure that you stay all day as well. Now, through the day, this is where we want to actually pick up that lipstick and use it to touch up. Yes, you can still use a lipstick. Get something that's going to be a color that complements your lip stain, or something that's going to add a little bit more of a brighter finish through the day, so you have this elevated look. You hear that? Elevated. So now we have plan A, which is our lip stain. Plan B is going to be our lipstick to touch up with, and plan C, my friends, go ahead and get yourself a little lip gloss, okay? Through by like 4 o'clock or so, our lips are feeling a little bit dry. We've been going and we've been talking to our bosses. You have that one argument with that coworker you know you can't stand, and you wrote 3 different emails biting your lips, which then bit off your lipstick, my friend. I know, I've been there too. Per the last email I said, I I know. So with that being said, instead of throwing on that lipstick again and creating that chunky feathered finish that we've all seen Suzanne in the corner have, put on a lip gloss. Yes, you're going to have 3 products through the day, but that's okay for your self-esteem and your sense of mind and peace, hunty, okay? So say it with me. Plan A is our lip stain, Plan B is a lipstick to touch up through the morning, and Plan C, when Susan gets on your last dang nerve and you write the email 3 times, make sure you pull out a lip gloss and rehydrate those lips for a perfect, beautiful smile. That's all the beauty tips for this week, guys. Make sure you're writing in at Jure for the Slay or at Daily Blast Live or right below for your comments, concerns, and how many times you've reapplied that lip gloss after Susan made you a little bit mad too. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Welcome back to DBL. You know what time it is? It's tax filing time, and budgetologist Felicia Jones is here to discuss ways to get a bigger tax refund on today's Dollars and Cents presented by John Hancock. Felicia, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. All right, so when it comes to tax filing season, you know, we always want to figure out how to get the biggest refund
Absolutely.
ever. So the first thing you want to do is assess your filing status. For those who are married, you want to look at filing jointly or filing separately. And also for single people, you want to look at filing single or head of household. And that's a very distinct one. If you are taking care of a dependent person, you could actually get a few more credits on your tax return. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to claim all deductions and credits. Now, when we get to deductions and credits, sometimes we just forget. The first one is charitable contributions. The other one is student loan interest. Sometimes we forget to claim our student loan interest. And then finally, all of the state income taxes that you paid the previous year. The final thing that you want to do is you can still make last-minute contributions to HSAs and IRAs, and you can still open up an account up until April 15th and max it out.
Felicia, always putting money in my pocket.
I love it.
I love it. To submit your financial questions for the next Dollars and Cents, please email Ask Mrs. Jones at dailyblastlive.com. And for info about life insurance and retirement planning, call John Hancock at 1-800-995-4089.
She is so helpful, and every time we say goodbye, what do we say? Bye, Felicia. So it's just me.
I like that.
I met her for the first time.
She's the most wonderful person.
Makeup room like 2 days ago, and
darling.
it was awesome. Yeah.
Yes. A lot of people writing in. We are going to do a little break. Also, if you want to stay tuned on shows to watch and stuff to do if you are in quarantine or kind of self-isolating.
You watch our show and our show
Al's
only.
gonna crochet.
Al is going to start crocheting.
Yes.
Would you take up a hobby if you were in quarantine?
I got a beat machine, so I'm gonna be making beats over the break. Yeah, and I have a script and I'm finishing that. Just, you know, I like to DJ on Friday, so I'm just gonna have a little beat too.
Ooh.
Yeah, make my own beats.
Well.
Not dependent on the rap community.
Hey, look at you.
Yes.
I gotta take a couple days to gather myself and then get to work.
A couple days?
Yeah, you know, the time off unexpectedly is like a real thing, just like bask in it.
You need
like,
48 hours to do that?
Oh my God.
Do that in 20 minutes.
Please just enjoy the glass of wine at 2 p.m.
All right, just have a glass of wine. Let us know what you're doing. We'll see you Monday. Stay safe out there. Same time, same place. Bye, guys.
A viral tweet claims to offer an easier, less expensive way to get tested for this coronavirus. Instead of a $3,200 test, just go donate blood. Quote, they have to test you for the virus in order to donate blood. There's a lot to break down in this message. Our sources, the Red Cross, the CDC, and the American Blood Centers. First point here, it gets the cost wrong. Right now, per the CDC, the coronavirus test doesn't cost anything. Now, people getting tested may have to pay for hospital stays and procedures at the hospital, but that cost will be different for each person. And it's worth noting, insurance companies and state and federal officials are working to lower or remove those costs. Next to the idea of donating blood because they have to test you for the virus. That's downright false. The Red Cross does test blood for illnesses and viruses, but not for the new coronavirus. It's brand new. That test can only be performed at the CDC and a handful of research locations around the country right now. This claim is false, but it could cause people to question or worry about donating blood. Here are some facts to help dispel those fears. 1. the Red Cross won't let anyone who is sick donate, period. And 2, there is no evidence that blood transfusions can give you the virus. Put simply, if you're healthy, it is safe to donate and receive blood. This is a big deal because right now, the Red Cross and American Blood Centers both need more donations. Turnout was already low due to the flu, and now the coronavirus is making people stay home and even causing some blood drives to be canceled. This tweet has been deleted, but unfortunately, it's being reposted and shared on other platforms. Remember, it's false and could lead people to doubt the blood donation process at a time when donations are needed. If you're seeing more claims like this, send us an email. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
What we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
From Disney World to Broadway, the shutdowns and cancellations just keep on coming because of the coronavirus. How social distancing could make a huge difference. But what about the infected people who don't follow the rules? Today's question, what penalty should there be for breaking quarantine? And Gloria Gaynor is giving everyone a little hand-washing advice with a familiar tune. I will survive.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It is Friday, March 13th. Friday the 13th.
I like it. Oh, really?
We're not going there. We're going with happy.
My son was born on the 13th.
All right. We're feeling good.
October 13th, right?
Yes.
Yeah, my dad's birthday. I remember. Yeah.
Nice,
All right.
gentlemen. Very nice.
Excuse me, I'm just going to have to pause down right here.
So sorry.
Because we are keeping things business as usual, okay?
I'm so sorry. Erica, what day is it?
Friday.
There we go. I can't believe I forgot. I live for that. I apologize.
That's right.
All right. I am here with Erica, Jeff, Al, and I'm Tori. Sam is on maternity leave. We miss her. We hope she's doing well with the baby. Let's get right to it. Has the president been exposed to the coronavirus? There are conflicting reports right now about whether or not the Brazilian president, Jair Bolsonaro, has tested positive. We do know he's awaiting further testing to confirm. But people who recently met with the Brazilian president, like the mayor of Miami, have tested positive for the virus. But you know who was also meeting with him? President Trump, along with Vice President Mike Pence and several other prominent U.S. leaders. They were all together at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. They even shook hands and sat next to each other at a meal, and they exchanged hats. It's not just the president. The communications chief for the Brazilian president, you can see him on the right in the hat, has also tested positive, and Trump clearly came into contact with him. Meantime, the president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, and the Attorney General, William Barr, both met with this Australian official recently, who is also now tested positive. Other world leaders, like Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, has also been exposed. He's in self-quarantine right now after his wife, Sophie, tested positive yesterday. And again, this isn't a death sentence. We're just simply saying they're in quarantine. We're not panicking. They're taking the correct precautions. Should we be concerned that our president isn't doing the same? Does he need to say I've been tested? And should they stop shaking hands like Vice President Pence said he'll still do?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the answer
This is not the time to be a tough guy.
Yeah, not at all. And I mean, nobody's above this invisible enemy.
Right.
Not our president, not the guy who sweeps up. I'm not putting anyone down.
Right.
But what I'm saying is as our president, go get tested. Set an example. I would love to be tested every day. I walk up the stairs, I'm like, I'm short of breath. That's one of the signs. I'm like, oh my God. I have 2 eyes. That's another sign. You know what I mean? I'm like, so I would love to be tested. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be tested, so you could, contain yourself.
Would it cause panic if you said, not only have I been tested, and I'm positive for it?
We're trying to educate ourselves on this. We know that if you just quarantine yourself for 2 weeks, like Tom Hanks is updating himself on that, you're going to be fine most likely, depending on your age or what's going on in your immune system. But you need to quarantine yourself so you're not spreading it around the world, especially
Jeff,
leaders.
as you're talking, you know what this made me think about it, and you and I actually talked about this, and we'll probably end up doing this on the show one day. But it's the same reason that men wouldn't go get tested for prostate cancer.
Sure.
Remember, that was the big thing until I believe Katy Couric's husband went and got it done.
And colonoscopy.
Colon cancer. All these things. It's like, well, I don't want to panic, so I feel fine. So I'm like, no, go get tested for get a colonoscopy, get whatever you need to be done. We want to be healthy. Yes, everything.
I agree.
So yes, and that includes coronavirus. So get in there.
Friday.
Friday. All right. Everywhere you look, it seems like America is shutting down to try and slow the coronavirus pandemic. Remember, we're flattening that curve. Disney is closing all of its U.S. parks, including Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and California Adventure. Meantime, 6 million kids across the nation are about to be out of school as 6 states announce closings next week. And major school districts like Los Angeles, San Diego, Houston, and right here in Denver are also shutting their doors. Right here, you see some late-night people. They have also gone dark. Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers' show have all been suspended production for the next few weeks. And on The View, 77-year-old Joy Behar announced yesterday she's going to take a break from the show just to be safe. Again, when we talked to Dr. Coley, when you're over that age limit, it's the mortality rate that tends to go up, and that's what you really want to be careful about. We have her back on the show. If you want to stay tuned, she's fantastic. How are you guys taking precautions?
You know, I'm kind of a buy things in the event of an emergency person anyway, so it's just amplified a little bit. One, I want to be prepared, but I also want to be prepared in case people close to me aren't prepared.
Like us.
Yeah.
We're coming over to
Well, I was thinking about Tori because she lives down the street. Well, no, seriously, because we were having the conversation, and, you know, our co-host Sam, they just had a baby. That's the top of their, you know, priorities.
Absolutely.
So we were asking, like, do they have everything that they need? And I think that this is something that really brings the community together, because you're thinking that way. Like, okay, we're okay. Are other people okay?
Check
and
the
we
village.
just want people to be okay.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, Erica. We were talking.
Yes.
Wait,
We were talking, and we were getting our makeup done, and she goes, "Oh, you know, I was worried about Sam." I go, "Listen, Sam and Mark are fantastic people. They stay on top of things. I'm not worried about them at all." I go, "If Tori had a baby, I'd be over there with a box of groceries."
Tori's refrigerator looks like a college student.
That's exactly what I said.
I got ramen? Is that
"They're
the
gonna
kid
be
eat
fine."
ramen?
Yeah, I don't have a bike, but I would have bicycled over.
Yeah, I would have been
I would
there.
have borrowed one.
I would have been there already 5 times.
Thanks for that insult and compliment. You did it for me.
We're there for you. We're there for you.
Thank you so much. A JetBlue passenger traveling from New York to Florida found out mid-air that he had tested positive for the virus. Now JetBlue has banned him from flying with them, little late, after he boarded the plane knowing he was waiting for the results. So there were 114 passengers. They were on board at the time. This has us asking, what should be the penalty for people who break the public health protocols and leave quarantine?
I know. I want to hear, Erica, what do you think?
Well, I think that this is a really slippery slope based on the first conversation we had on if the president should be tested and if he should make those results public. If people are being banned from an entire airline, never allowed to fly again because they didn't get their test results back in time and there was a possibility, then we have to be very clear about what the penalty is and how that's going to be applied, because obviously this was something that under normal circumstances, it would just be considered maybe a little irresponsible. But now it's not just a little irresponsible, it's a public health crisis.
It's a criminal offense.
What's our responsibility as individual citizens?
See, Erica, I had my answer, and of course, talking to you, you changed my mind. But I will say that because of my initial thing was, if you know that you have something like this, talking to people won't work. Throwing them in jail is ridiculous. So the only way that you can do it is by fining them. That's the only way that really affects people's in the pocketbook. But then after Erica made her comment, I was like, then are we disincentivizing people to get tested? Because if you get tested and you know, now you can't travel. But that whole ignorance is bliss, like, I didn't get tested, so now you feel free. So it's a little scary. If people are being fined, maybe they won't get tested.
Well, you can even go farther than that. If you have an STD, for instance, in several states, and you knowingly have sex with someone else, not only is that negligent, you could be considered battery because you are knowingly infecting them with something dangerous. So I'm not opposed to going there. Yeah, I mean, I think at some point it's a civil or criminal offense. Am I out of breath? I'm fine. Don't, Jeff, don't. He's fine.
I got it too.
With more and more Americans facing the possibility of spending 2 weeks in isolation, the real question is, how can we afford it? House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the White House are reportedly near a deal on an economic stimulus package that could pass next week. It includes enhanced unemployment benefits, free virus testing, aid for food assistance programs, and more money for Medicaid. Now, the package could also ensure 14 days of paid sick leave. Let me say that again, 14 days of paid sick leave and tax credits to help those small and medium-sized businesses. All of this sounds really what we need today. Because everyone's talking about it. Everyone on the TV is watching and being like, yes, we want this.
Yes, and this is what we need for our economy and for our peace of mind, right? People are getting on planes when they don't have to because they need to pay bills. They're being selfish and they're not thinking about anyone else but themselves. That I always talk about society like using your turn signal, and I laugh at people who don't return their shopping carts. This is time to show what a great member of society you are. If you're getting on planes knowing you might have the coronavirus, you're a selfish bleep. Do you understand?
Yes.
So by staying home, by quarantining yourself, we're stopping the spread of this. It's a good thing that we're staying home, but we need incentive from the government. You won't be financially hurt. Your family will be okay. Stay home so we can get a handle on this thing and move on with our lives. I think the government needs to pass this immediately, and we need to start taking some precautions and stop this thing from
Jeff,
spreading.
the only thing I'll push back on is hurt. I think it's destroyed, financially destroyed.
Yes.
People missing 2 weeks of work, bro,
Paycheck to paycheck.
especially a mother and father, mother, father, 2 adults in the house missing a paycheck for a week or a month. That could financially, I told you guys, when I ruptured my Achilles tendon, that financially ruined me for 4 years.
Say what you said about kids' lunches. I hadn't thought of this,
yes, and you guys are from Chicago, you know, like when there's snowstorms, and it's not about keeping kids out of school because the buses won't run, it's because those kids won't eat. So please.
Well, no, I used to bring that point up all the time when we talked about, closing schools. And a lot of communities closing schools also means that you're closing down programs for children who need the food from schools. But to have something in our government to incentivize not only people staying at home and not trying to go out and spread more illness, but the fact is we keep talking about we're 2 to 3 weeks behind Italy. If we're 2 to 3 weeks behind Italy and we're in a quarantine situation, then we should also be 2 to 3 weeks behind Italy in terms of what their government has done,
and they've shut everything.
Forgive mortgages or not have people pay their rent for that month.
That's exactly
because how are you expecting people to go on after this all clears?
Yes.
I think we're being very ignorant about it if we don't have a serious conversation.
I agree. The aggression in which Italy not only protected its citizens but financially protected them is something we might want to look into as a role model. All right, coming up, the coronavirus conversation continues. It's a lot of C's. Wedding season is around the corner, but will the pandemic change your plans? What about other big family functions? We're sharing those comments. Then later, the weird connection between Gloria Gaynor's song I Will Survive and staying clean during the pandemic. And DIY queen Lauren Mack, friend of the show, has some advice for your next crafty project and explains why not everything has to be Pinterest worthy. We'll be right back. All right, guys, I wanted to let people know, see, like when they're laughing, I want to be on the joke. I have such bad...
I will tell you later.
Really?
Yeah, I swear.
Promise?
I promise.
Okay. I have such bad FOMO.
No, I promise.
Someone
It's
says
not
that
about you.
AT&T might be waiving their not unlimited customer's bill. Now, again, we're going to check and confirm all that, but we just want to let you know that I think we're going to start seeing a domino effect. If AT&T does it, then T-Mobile, Sprint, they all do it.
Yes,
so
that's
let's
great.
hope to see
And that's a way to get a customer for life.
Or customer retention. Like if you're a cell phone company and you have X amount of X amount of customers who aren't able to pay, do you shut them down so that they have an incentive to go to another company?
If someone did that for me, I would never forget that. I'd be like, I'm not leaving
Exactly.
that company.
Exactly.
People look at the short term and they don't realize that it's the same way like you treat your employees. If you're like, hey, I can put another zero at the end of my check by cutting Christmas bonuses, holiday bonuses. Yeah, go ahead and do that. But when you move on, you're not going to get 2 weeks notice from me. My chair's just going to be spinning at my desk. But if you treat somebody like a human being, remember we saw that clip of that woman that left that food and water out for the delivery people, and just the dance he did.
On her doorstep.
You just want to be seen like, hey, I'm a person. You realize I'm trying to pay my bills. You look at my history. I've paid every day for 7 years. Me and my husband aren't working. So let's figure this out so I can continue to pay you throughout my lifetime rather than creating another lane for another company to come in and swoop me up.
Well, we have to understand from the top down, the government down, that they're going to take a hit this year. Everyone's going to take a hit. Personal, business-wise, everyone's going to take a hit to stop the spread of this virus. People are like, no, my business has got to stay on track. We'll get through this. No, it's people first. Businesses have to say, listen, we're going to not make as much money as we did last year because of this crazy epidemic, right? So people need to start using that in their way of thinking, right?
Yeah.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Fifth Host, and the coronavirus is on everyone's mind, and so are important events, right? They don't stop, like weddings, birthday parties, quinceañeras, bar mitzvahs. Now many
Can you
guests...
name one more thing?
Do you want me to name one more? I was trying to include everyone.
You did it.
All right, thanks. Guests are debating whether or not to attend. In fact, one bride declared that any guest who RSVP'd and didn't attend will be, quote, dead to her. And she used the clappy emojis, just so you guys know. The angry bride says she's already spent thousands. Well, now social media is fired up. DBL Nation, with the coronavirus, are you planning to attend large social gatherings?
Well, George from Facebook says, I'm sure that most of her guests are happy to use the coronavirus as an excuse to not attend of a wedding. I'd actually show up wearing a hazmat suit.
I love George.
George, I just find her choice of words very ironic because if everybody showed up, all her guests could be dead to her.
Ooh.
Well, I'm
That's
just
real.
saying.
Yeah, that's real.
No, your grandma could be dead. I can completely agree with you.
So, I mean, you have to consider, I know that this is the biggest day or, one of the most special days of your life, but a lot of people are facing the fact that they have to postpone one of the most special days of their life. So, you just got to get with the program. It's just what happened.
The program, everyone.
Absolutely. Amy from Facebook says, my guests started to back out, so I decided to just postpone my wedding. Amy, I think that's a good call. You don't want your feelings hurt from your family or friends that didn't come because they want to protect their own family. I have a wedding in April. I had something big to do in Chicago. I can't let the cat out of the bag, but I don't think I'm doing it anymore. And I had a wedding that weekend. I'm not going to go to the wedding just to go and bring my family and put them through that. I don't know where we're going to be in April, but for me, I say don't go. It's not worth it, and get married in courthouse.
There you go. Tim from Facebook says, I'm not attending anything that will require me to sit next to anyone, especially a stranger. And Tim, whether it's a stranger or clearly Tom Hanks, this virus doesn't care who you are. And honestly, I mean, on top of Erica's point, how terrible would you feel if you know that you invited your aunt or uncle or loved ones, and then 3 or 4 of them got sick? How could you live with yourself? I mean, let's be honest, a reception, although it's a beautiful day, it's a party. Parties can be rescheduled. Your aunt cannot.
And just to be clear, your aunt can't be rescheduled. You're absolutely right.
Black people say aunt.
Aunt?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Do you say aunt, Erica?
I do say aunt, but then I say auntie.
Yeah, I say auntie, but I say aunt. Jeff, what do you say?
Aunt.
Aunt, yeah.
I say aunt.
It's a cultural thing. Oh, you say aunt?
Yeah.
No, you
look
don't.
at you.
Aunt. Oh no, I say aunt.
See?
Oh yeah, you're right. Aunt.
Tori's trying to be
Aunt
cool.
Barbara.
Yeah.
No.
I say,
Oh, I say it.
Give me some. So
Coming up on DBL, Betty White has a very important health update during the coronavirus global pandemic. That's a little later. And TV host and interior design expert Lauren Mack is always a blast to talk to. She's got tips for all you do-it-yourselfers. Coming up next.
I'll tell the DBL Nation, I don't know if I've ever met anybody as interesting and as unique as Tori Shulman. You are.
Is that a backhanded compliment?
No, it's such. Yeah, it's such. You're so interesting. Like everything you do is.
And you know what I don't
it's
get?
funny and beautiful and smart and clumsy at the same time. It's like
yes, all of it, Jeffrey. All
it's
of
like
it.
a rolling, like huge snowball down a hill.
Even when you're tripping over
it's beautiful to look at, but it's running kids
dusted, her dusted overalls that you trip over.
It happened once with my overalls.
Jeff has not gotten over
Oh
those.
my God, the overalls.
But it's like, whose overalls are in the corner full of dust and dirt? Like, They're Tories.
Yes.
You could ask anyone in here.
Either that or a real farmer. Only Tory at a
To be honest, I took
in any other place, it'd be a crime scene. Like, did someone get murdered in here?
I'll be honest.
No, that's
I took my
Tories.
overall. We change here, and I took my overalls off, and then
Not in the back.
Let me finish. And I changed sometimes because I like to keep my pants on until the very last moment. And I put them in the back, and I forgot about them. So they sat there and sat there and sat there, and that's my bad, and I'm working on it. But it's not like I'm like, I need some dusty overalls.
That's just one example.
By the way, Jeff, I want to ask you this
example.
because I always ask because I'm always curious like what other guys like in terms of
Thank you, Brahmini.
See, I always like overalls on women. I think it's such a great look. I like overalls. How do you?
Yeah, on women, not on the floor.
Fair point. You might want to get my legs if you want. It might be too hot. Is this better?
Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens and
Right on
wars
time.
with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-318-7365 now.
Welcome back to DBL. Lauren Mack is an interior design queen, TV host, and friend of the show. I'm obsessed with her. Earlier, she told me all about her new show, I'm so excited, Shop Class, and how there's no such thing as a mistake when you're being creative. That's our DBL Spotlight. One of my favorite human beings on this planet, Lauren Mack. Welcome to DBL. We're so excited to have you back as a friend of the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much. You know, I love you guys. This is a dream come true to be with you this morning.
It's so true. Now, you make DIY look easy, but it seems like there's some fierce competition in your new show, Shop Class. So you're a veteran when it comes to TV show competitions. You're no strangers to drama. How did it go, though, when kids are up against the clock?
Oh, man, you know, it's such a different ball of wax. Like, when these children get together, they're much more creative than I think even adults are.
Really?
I was so inspired by watching these children. Like, I used to even call them children. I'll call them students because they were real students of life. They really showed up and showed out.
I wanted to ask you this. Did you ever find them when you guys were on a break on their phones a lot? Were they like, was it hard to get them to switch from the screen to the shop?
Never. And you know what? That is exactly why I love Shop Class, our show, because it really is an homage to using your hands and your imagination and kind of getting off of the screen time and not utilizing the tablets and the iPads. That's what I love about this show. You know, whether you're 9 or 199, you can identify with being able to use your imagination, get creative, you know, get your hands on stuff and just try new things. This is an homage to that. It's about making and it's about getting your hands dirty again. And I never saw one of those kids on a phone.
That's awesome. Now, you've been crowned the DIY queen, which you are, but I want to know something. Ding! I am scared of DIY. So how do you convince someone like me to DIY instead of buy?
For me, I didn't just wake up. I wasn't just born a DIY queen, but thank you for the title.
You're very welcome, Your Majesty.
It's a lot of. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've messed up a lot of stuff, and it's all in the perfection of the craft.
Now, I do want to say, Mazel Tov, we're so thrilled about your pregnancy. We all saw the announcement on Good Morning America when you shocked us all. I want to know, were you nervous, A, to make the announcement, but B, you were trying to get a job while pregnant, and I want to know, just like Lauren to Tori, the DBL Nation wants to know, was that scary?
You know, it really is. It's such an exciting time in my life to have my second child be born and brought into this world, and I'm so excited about him coming into this world. It's a boy, by the way. Exclusive to DBL.
I'm so excited. Exclusive.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren Mack, for chatting. You are my Mac Attack. I'm so proud and so happy. I can't wait to see all the DIY masterpieces and your baby boy on Shop Class.
Thank you. I love you all.
We love you, Lauren. I love that girl. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
We're going to call this break, What Am I Going to Do in Quarantine? I'm not making fun. I'm just trying to lighten the mood a bit. We have some recommendations. Me? You? out.
But it's kind of like an off-camera.
Off camera, cool. We're gonna do it off camera. I just wanted to let you know if you're into foreign things or spies, there's 3 I'm gonna recommend to you. The Bureau, which is on Sundance Channel, fantastic, 4 seasons. You know it? Leo, it's so good. It's so good, okay? Oh, I told Leo about it. 2, Borgen. It's the West Wing of Denmark. So if you're into like political shows, it's really fun. It's really fun. It's well known there. And then the 3rd is well known everywhere. Fauda, F-A-U-D-A. It's Israeli-Palestinian like intense thing. And Henry Winkler just called it his favorite TV show he's like seen ever. I loved it. It's 2 seasons. If you like a lot of thriller and action, it's packed and it's really good. Someone also suggested Watchmen, which is everybody loves Watchmen. And then Pandemic, which might be a little too close to home on Netflix.
These are your top choices for anything they could binge?
Well, you haven't heard of them, have you? And they're 4 seasons each. So yes, Kelly, they are my top picks. You're welcome.
What was that other show you've been talking about a lot?
Borgen. It's the Danish
not that
West
one.
Wing. But if you guys have any suggestions and want to write in, there's also some good documentaries I'm going to let you know of. 3 Identical Strangers is excellent. If you haven't seen The Staircase, it's amazing, and I would love to talk to someone about it. The Jinx is amazing, and you stay till the end, and I mean the last scene.
And that
if you know what I'm
trial is
saying.
happening now.
That's
as
right.
we speak.
And a lot more.
Really random one that's like not a mystery on Netflix called the Barclay Marathon, and it's like an adventure marathon.
Oh, fun!
And it's like 36 hours in the woods, and nobody ever makes it. It's so weird and
that's
so
good.
cool. It's really interesting. Check it out.
Also, besides shows, I needlepoint. Go to a Michael's if you feel like you can, or order a kit on Amazon. It comes with everything you need, and it's so much fun to just be by yourself. Read, I would suggest crochet. There's also some fun board games, like get into a good Scrabble tournament, huh? Whoa, a little too wild. Okay. Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing those comments. How are people today, Al?
Everybody's kind of talking about their plans or now lack thereof plans. Fabina says, I'm supposed to be in a wedding in Rome next month. Sounds cool. Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, being selfless. Who doesn't want to go to a wedding in Rome? But if you come back sick or you knowingly got people sick, was it worth it? Lyle
can't do it right now anyway.
Yeah, they don't have weddings or funerals in Italy. None.
Yeah.
The whole country.
That's scary. Lyle says, my fiance and I are doing the right thing and postponing the wedding, and fortunately the venue is totally understanding. And you, Lyle, congrats to you guys, first of all.
Mazel.
And second of all, good on that venue, because you know what that venue's going to deal with is Lyle and his fiance will tell everybody about how cool they were. They always say with like Yelp, with business reviews, if people have a great time, they'll tell one other person. If they have a terrible time, they'll tell 10 people. So it's better to get that word out there. And finally, Shamia says, ain't nobody got time for coronavirus at a wedding, only cake and champagne. So have that at the house. I might have just cake and champagne by myself. Why can't you just have that as a snack?
Has anyone ever had cake or champagne without there being a celebration?
Yes.
Someone said yes right here. So good
I
for that
call them
person.
Erica parties.
Here's what's coming up
to go to
next
an Erica
DBL.
party.
Fans are freaking out about Betty White getting the coronavirus, how our national treasure is putting our minds at ease, and hand washing tips with a familiar tune. I will survive! Yes, we will survive when DBL comes back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, something happened there. All right, that was fantastic. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. That is disco legend Gloria Gaynor washing her hands to her. Video is getting a ton of views amid the coronavirus pandemic, and it has inspired others to take. It's actually one of the songs on Rita Wilson's quarantine playlist. She and her husband Tom Hanks tested positive and are in isolation in Australia. Tom updated fans on Instagram saying they're taking it one day at a time and, quote, despite all the current events, there's no crying in baseball. Huh?
Yeah,
Is a throwback line from his movie A League of Their Own. What's on your quarantine playlist if you had to have one song? Like on repeat, maybe?
I would go Stevie Wonder, Love's in Need of Love Today.
Ooh.
Yeah, that is the jam. If y'all, I have it on vinyl. If y'all don't know it, get on it.
Wow.
Yes, over and over.
I love that.
Now on vinyl, it's harder because you
have to keep doing this. Yeah, right, exactly. What about you, Jeff?
Mine, I just screwed it up. I Will Die For You by Prince. It's my favorite Prince song.
Ooh, that's a good.
Oh, that's a good.
I love that song.
Dance with it, huh?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
You know what? I have a song, but I'm actually going to post it on my TikTok, so I'm going to save it. But I will say my backup
because
would be.
It's more important than our show.
Yeah, well, I don't want somebody to steal my thing.
I have something great to say.
Like 7.
So you'd rather share it with your 7 followers
I'm going to have
on
the
TikTok?
DBL. I have another song.
Well,
dude,
okay.
you just TikTok embarrassed yourself.
Maybe you should do a preview to your TikTok so that now people will go to your TikTok.
But then somebody's going to steal it, and then that's going to be their challenge.
Can you answer the question?
Yes.
What is it?
Now I'm going to say with a bad attitude, Summertime by Will Smith.
Really? You were saving
you were
that?
Keep in your bag
you were scared someone was going to poach
no,
that?
No, my other song is staying tucked. Tucked right there.
Wow, holding out on us.
Yeah, TikTok, 7 followers.
What about you, Tori?
Way
I don't
more
even know.
important
I don't know if I have 7.
than our audience, DBL Nation. I think I would put on something a little bit country, maybe a Willie Nelson song.
Just spit it out.
Okay, maybe Katy Perry's Over the Rainbow. Or the Rainbow. Oh, no, Eva Cassidy.
I thought you wanted a country song.
Well,
she does not know. She can't think of a song.
Yeah, how you gonna ask us a question that you don't have an answer to?
You've been waiting on this. You know you did it before the commercial.
Can't name one song.
You know, my first thought was "Lose Yourself" by Eminem, and that's not good on repeat.
That's your answer for every song.
I don't have good taste in music. I don't have good taste in music.
Then why did you suggest we did this?
Because I know you do.
It's like Tori's been in quarantine for 2 decades with her music. How do you not? You can't name. Can you name one song that's on the radio right now?
Other than Lose Yourself.
Okay.
Can you name one song? I'm sorry, producers. I need to know if my co-host can name one song that humans listen to.
You mean right now?
Yeah, that helps.
I know. Bieber, Yummy. Okay.
All right, we'll take it. We'll take it and move on.
Something we haven't talked about on the show.
Yeah, we talked about that on the show. Well, after news that Tom Hanks had contracted coronavirus, fans of another Hollywood legend started freaking out. But everyone take a breath. It turns out 98-year-old Betty White is doing just fine. A rep for the Golden Girls star confirmed the news to the Today Show, but only after fans started tweeting their concern. One person saying, quote, "Someone get Betty White into her own quarantine. We can't lose her." Another user said, almost had a heart attack thinking something happened to her. She must be protected at all costs. And I think this just goes to show the grandparents, you really want to look after that. But again, Betty White is a national treasure.
How many times has she faked passed away?
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
What do they call those death hoaxes?
Yeah, all the time.
But
She's like
Betty White,
#1.
she is a national treasure. She's not going anywhere. So I mean, she is. But I think that the fact that she's taking care of herself, She's still here.
And laughter always really helps. A lot of people also think Ruth Bader Ginsburg should wrap herself in bubble wrap and stay away from everyone.
Now, how old is RBG?
RBG is in her late 80s, but has had cancer several times, so very immunocompromised. And a tiny little lady. When I met her, I was like, hello.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm tiny.
And people think like they're going to be locked away forever. It's 2 weeks that we're asking people to do this just to stop the spread, and especially if you're over 60. Take a little 2-week home vacation.
Little staycation.
Pick up a hobby. Call somebody, your relatives that you haven't talked to in a while.
Yeah.
Make the
Read a
best
book.
of it. Right. Do something you haven't done in a while.
I bought a DVD player to that point.
You actually did. That's a true
That's a smart idea.
My husband keeps calling me 19. It's like, hey, 1990s is on the phone. But just in case something happened and I couldn't stream a show,
That's smart.
Went and got a DVD player. It was like $24.
See, that's why I'm going to Erica's house for sure.
And if you need a Walkman, one's over there too.
Wow. Katy Perry and her fiance Orlando Bloom are returning to the U.S. amid the virus outbreak. Again, Katy Perry's pregnant, and she was seen leaving Australia after canceling a number of press events. The pregnant singer was reportedly staying at the same Sydney area hotel that Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson were staying at, which has now been on lockdown for 24 hours. Orlando told his Instagram followers they stopped production on Carnival Row in Prague and that he'll be quarantined when he gets back to the United States. Let's take a look.
Stay safe out there, self-quarantine. It seems really crazy, actually, this whole corona thing, but do the right thing by you and your family and stay safe. And in a few weeks, we'll beat this bad boy.
He makes it like cool and sexy. Okay,
I think
cool.
so.
Okay, thanks, guys.
What do you want me to say? Yes, sister. How do you want me to back you up there?
All right, fine. Just blank faces.
I mean, I'm a little worried about Katy Perry, though, just because it's, you think about just how the human body works.
Yeah.
It's set up as a defense system. If you eat some bad food, you throw up because your body's like, this should not be in here. And at the same time, she's got this incredibly precious cargo that the body is like, we're going to do whatever we have to do to keep this in here and keep this safe. So her body's going to be kind of battling against each other, so it's really scary.
Well, Tori, you asked the doctor yesterday about pregnant women.
Yeah, she said, it's fine if you want to start trying, because I'm 38, and, people are thinking about it in the air, and my Jewish mother's calling me all the time. She said it's fine to try, but the problem is you then go to all these doctor's appointments, and you're going into sort of germ-infected places, and you have to then meet up with people. I couldn't go visit my mom, let's say, at 3 months if I were pregnant. So there was
Your mom is very immunocompromised.
She's very immunocompromised.
Right.
So there's a lot of yes, and then there was a lot of buts. And I think at that point, you just have to take in your age, your clock, and how you feel about it. But there are a lot of things you have to do once you're pregnant that takes you out of the house, unfortunately.
Yeah. Again, we're just asking everyone just to alter their life for 2 weeks and see where we're at.
Yeah.
That's all.
You'll be fine.
So yeah, you could still have fun in the meantime.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. With my lose yourself in the background. Okay. This is an interesting turn. Could your sleep habits be a relationship deal breaker? According to a new study, 3 in 5 Americans say they would think twice about dating someone who had a different sleep habit from them. That includes preferring hot or cold rooms, soft versus hard mattresses, and having the window open or closed.
Yeah.
Deal breaker?
Well, I've had this happen. Right after I graduated from college, I was bartending 6 nights a week, and I would be 4 of those nights. I would be. We would close at 5 a.m. So I wouldn't get home until 7 a.m. And then the man that I was with, who I ended up marrying,
side note,
he had to be at work at 6 a.m. So sometimes I would get home and the bed would still be warm, but he would be gone, and it was just this like 2 ships passing in the night type thing.
Was it? Did you lose a connection? Because I mean, sleeping is like
you do. You do lose it because you're on 2 different. I mean, you're just on 2 different time clocks. Like, that's just what it is.
Do you like when you get there and the bed was warm? Because I'm like, who slept on my side?
You're particular about sleep, am I right?
Yes, very.
Well, it was depressing sometimes, but most of the time I was so tired I just passed out.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this is great, this is warm.
But Jeff, you have a thing with touching when you're sleeping. Tell us about that.
Okay.
Share with the class, Jeff. Share with the class.
No, I just when it's time to go to bed, okay, like all the business is done, you know what I mean? Like stay on your side. You know, like I'm gonna stay on my side. I don't want your toe on here. This isn't a movie. We're not gonna wake up and birds are gonna be flying over us.
Right.
Stay on your side. I got things to do in the morning. I get up early. You know what I mean? Like this is real life. For all the I don't know how many young people are watching out there, but when someone asks you like, look at this girl at the club. Look how good that girl looks. I'll do anything for her. When you turn my age, you won't do anything because if she's all over you while you sleep, that's breakup status, right? Like I'm breaking up with you if you're all over me while we
Honestly,
sleep.
there's a lot of couples that do sleep in separate bedrooms and they're still together. They're just like, look, he snores. She likes to watch TV later than I do. So I do think it's something to think about because, you know, 3 or 4 nights of getting bad sleep is going to lead to some arguments at breakfast that shouldn't have happened. So make sure you're in a good place.
I think you're right. My dad had sleep apnea and snored terribly, and he finally got an apnea mask.
The Darth Vader mask.
The Darth Vader, but I had a terrible nightmare, and I ran in, and I always wake my dad when I have a nightmare, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Ah!" It was so scary. So it was a funny story.
Do you have any sleep things?
Why do you keep looking? Next awkward pause, look at her.
Sorry. I got to look at everyone. All right, that was an awkward pause. I'll look at you guys. Coming up on DBL, if you're confused all about the coronavirus misinformation, don't worry. Stick around. We're separating fact from fiction. Coming up next. Hey guys, guess what I had? Not a good joke because no one's laughing at my jokes today. Whatever. Dating, date nights. So this is for you too.
Somebody put a pillow over your face and taking it, you know.
Yeah.
He can breathe better. And this is for you and Merritt and you and Jordan. This is date nights in quarantine. Some ideas.
Okay.
Okay. Cook a fancy meal.
You can't talk to each other?
Oh my God, so cute.
Have a picnic on the floor.
That's a terrible idea. That is horrendous. I
Number-
have a table. Why am I sitting
That's how
on the
you know
floor?
you're already out of stuff to suggest.
Dude,
I think that's
if
cute.
you do that,
A picnic? All right.
yeah, I would question how long you guys are going to stay together.
All right. People are saying cuddling is weird. I also want to say stargazing in the backyard. Maybe some wine and a telescope.
Oh, it is?
Why do you need suggestions just to hang out with your partner?
Okay,
Well,
Wouldn't
if you
do
can't go
that
to a
anyway?
restaurant, no, you like a date night. If you guys always have a date night on Saturday night, what do you do?
Oh, see, I always stay home. Okay,
Well,
keep going. Sorry.
All right. Create your own at-home pizza parlor. Who will make the prettiest pizza? Have a little extra fun in the kitchen kneading and flipping dough.
I'm out of here.
Okay, yeah. Take online personality tests. Take online personality tests. Hold on, we got one more. Camp out in the living room. Go through old photos. Have an ice cream sundae night. Do a craft together. Make a pillow fort. Have a movie marathon. Eat by candlelight. Put a little puzzle together, and do a board game night. And then finally, slow dance in the living room.
These sound like millennial dates.
We're gonna do a chop challenge. Welcome back to DBL. Coronavirus is all people are talking about, and there is a lot of misinformation. Just the other day, Harry Potter actor Daniel Radcliffe was incorrectly outed as even having the virus, and now there's a name for all this information that's not always true. It's called an infodemic. We are going to debunk some of these most widespread myths with help from the World Health Organization and the CDC. So this is good. Spread this around. This is what we are known for at DBL, giving you the real truth. Myth number 1, sneezing is a major symptom of coronavirus. Well, according to the CDC, sneezing really isn't a symptom, and you should be looking out for fever, cough, and shortness of breath. But since we're entering allergy season, try not to sneeze shame anyone.
That's good to know.
That is good to know, but I wouldn't think that it's a symptom of it. But don't sneeze out, cover your mouth, because you're going to pass the virus through your
particles.
The particles in the air.
The water particles.
Yeah.
It's not air. It's not in the air. It's literally from you.
Like contact.
Correct.
So if you sneeze and you spit by accident, I don't mean to be graphic, but that could pass it. So be aware of that.
And you're supposed to do the almost that thing right into the
do you guys know how to sneeze but hold it in? Because that's what I do.
No, your eyes are supposed to pop out if you do that.
No, it doesn't. I've been doing it forever.
Okay, that probably is a myth.
I always have to hold in my sneeze.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think that's very good for you.
I have to.
Why?
I honestly don't think that my nostrils can handle the power. I'm so serious.
She's got a cute little Whoville nose.
I have always had to like just hold it. That's why I sneeze like that.
Oh, wow.
I have to do.
Can someone let us know if that's
I swear my nose is going to explode if I do a real sneeze.
Wow.
It's very powerful.
All right. Well, we're talking about myths. I'm not sure your
nostrils are like peas. Little guys.
Myth number 2, the coronavirus will die off when it warms up in the spring. We've been hearing a lot about this because SARS did it in a couple of months, if you remember, when it got hot. Well, the CDC comes out and says they don't know, actually, if warmer temperatures at all will kill the virus. Some viruses spread more in cold months, but that does not mean they will slow down just because it's warm. I guess this one's still a good question mark, but it's good to now know not to rely on the weather for medical advice.
Yeah, no, and I was listening to a podcast last night that said that the derivation of the coronavirus was also spread through, because there was SARS and there was also MERS, I think, MERS or MARS, and that was more in the Middle East, and the temperatures are like 101, 107 regularly, and that spread pretty quickly. So let's hope,
right?
You know, but don't bank
Pay
on
attention
that.
to the facts. That's right. Well, myth number 3: eating garlic will protect you from the virus. We're not vampires. The answer to this myth is, well, I think if it were true, garlic killed the virus, Italy wouldn't be on lockdown. Am I right? Oh, now would it? While garlic does in fact have awesome antimicrobial properties. Microbial.
Yes.
Oh, you could have just spelled it out. The WHO has no evidence that it has any effect on the virus.
Yeah, I don't know if we should be relying on kind of garlic and old school things. I think, Jeff, what is it? Just take 2 weeks.
Yes.
Self-quarantine. No garlic. Saunas aren't going to help. Warrior pose. Just stay inside.
Yeah, man.
Figure out a binge. Yeah, I'm binge watching The Americans. That's going to be my thing. Find your thing, whatever you want to do.
Don't let the internet drive you crazy. I know we got to get to this next myth,
infodemic.
We're here in Colorado, and this video's been going around about this Costco where the lines are all the way to the back of the store. Sure, at the peak hour they were. I went last night to Costco. I got my son baby wipes, just the normal things. Yeah. They were all there. The lines weren't long, but everyone wants to put these videos out that are so over-exaggerated, and it's like, it's not like that.
Right.
People are causing hysteria.
Right.
I went to the Costco last night, and I went to the grocery store this morning. It's fine.
It's fine.
Settle down. Take 2 weeks. Do the right thing.
So if you're all worried and you're kind of freaking out, just hear Jeff's voice. Settle down. It's just 2 weeks.
Maybe not my voice.
Yeah, his voice is great.
You'll actually hear his voice. He'll be yelling in the Costco.
Hey, idiot!
I just want to add this one last thing because I've been seeing this all over the internet, and it's really important. There is this rumor that's being spread that black people aren't affected by coronavirus.
Are you serious?
I've definitely heard that.
Yes.
Are you serious?
And there are several articles from black doctors who are saying, do not believe the rumor. You need to practice all of the same precautions as anyone else.
Wow.
I don't know how this rumor got started and what the intent of the rumor was, but it is spread like wildfire.
I don't like the intent at all.
People need to be very clear that there is no medical evidence according to these
It sounds
doctors.
like a joke that then turns serious.
Right.
Or it sounds like someone's trying to say something where people are going to get infected.
We need to put that on the myth thing.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Thank you for letting us know
Thanks,
that.
Erica.
We will be right back.
I've heard that.
Could some...
It's been one of the stranger reactions to coronavirus concerns. People around the globe stockpiling toilet paper. So why are scared shoppers stocking up on rolls? Let's connect the dots. First of all, this is not only an American problem. It's not just your neighborhood Costco limiting how much toilet paper you buy. There have been reports in Australia, Germany, and England of people clearing out shelves. According to a clinical psychologist, this is a pretty classic human response to fear and confusion. Because this coronavirus is new, and we're still learning about the risk it poses, some people are panicking and making irrational purchases. And that's the other problem, because humans are social creatures. When we see someone else doing something, we want to do it too, like panic buying toilet paper. But experts agree you don't need a lifetime supply, just enough to get you and your family through 2 weeks if you end up quarantined.
Let's stop acting like the democracy that we know and that we teach our kids is still in place. The 3 branches of government has been shown to be ineffective. The executive branch completely came in and dominated the other 2 branches, and so this is what we have. Here we are. Enjoy your king.
Welcome back to DBL. You know what time it is? It's tax filing time, and budgetologist Felicia Jones is here to discuss ways to get a bigger tax refund on today's Dollars and Cents presented by John Hancock. Felicia, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We love having you here, and who doesn't like to get that big fat check from the man, Felicia?
I know. I haven't gotten one in years, so.
Maybe you can walk us through on how other people might be able to get that.
Yes, we'll definitely do that. All right, so when it comes to tax filing season, you know, we always want to figure out how to get the biggest refund
Absolutely.
ever. So the first thing you want to do is assess your filing status. For those who are married, you want to look at filing jointly or filing separately. And also for single people, you want to look at filing single or head of household. And that's a very distinct one. If you are taking care of a dependent person, you could actually get a few more credits on your tax return.
Okay, who specifically could be added on as a dependent?
When it comes to a dependent, it can be an elderly parent or, you know, taking care of a cousin. So you have to really work with your tax accountant just to see who qualifies as a dependent that you're taking care of in your house.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to claim all deductions and credits. Now, when we get to deductions and credits, sometimes we just forget. The first one is charitable contributions. Sometimes we forget all of the money that we donated, the clothes that we donated. We can actually write that off on our taxes, so don't forget that.
So when you go like to Goodwill and they give you that little piece of paper,
actually,
hang on to
yes,
that.
put it in. I put mine in the glove compartment and bring it out during tax time.
Good idea.
So remember that. The other one is student loan interest. Sometimes we forget to claim our student loan interest. And then finally, all of the state income taxes that you paid the previous year.
Right.
Sometimes we forget that little card that comes in the mail. You can absolutely put that on your taxes, and that'll help you start getting that bigger tax refund. The final thing that you want to do is you can still make last-minute contributions to HSAs and IRAs, and you can still open up an account up until April 15th and max it out. And that will definitely lower your taxable income and help you get that big fat paycheck.
We talked about that before.
We've talked about it before.
Felicia, always putting money in my pocket.
I love it. I love it. And the final thing, you know, always double check your math, you know, proofread so that you don't forget anything, and meet the deadlines. Sometimes, you know, we forget the deadlines and we'll start paying more money.
All right, nobody wants that.
No, we don't want to pay more money.
We don't want to give it out.
No.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Always great having you here. To submit your financial questions for the next Dollars and Cents, please email Ask Mrs. Jones at dailyblastlive.com. And for info about life insurance and retirement planning, call John Hancock at 1-800-995-4089. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I'm your host, Jeray for the Slay, and today we're talking about how to keep these beautiful, beautiful lips staying all day long. I know, it's kind of crazy how fast we eat through lipstick, lip gloss, lip tints, all of that stuff all the time. But I got a couple tips here for you to make sure that you're going to have that lasting long wear all day. Now, my favorite products to use for a long lasting lip look is going to be lip stains. Yes, lip stains can really transform a look to make sure that you're going to have a whole day's wear without having to touch up too much. Now, I want to go ahead and break the myth. Even if you put it on and it says it's gonna stay all day, you're going to reapply at some point through the day. That's just what it is, my friends. I'm sorry, I do not have the magical answers here. You can do all of the 24-hour wear, all of that good stuff, but at some point, I bet you're going to eat or drink or have some sort of humanly function in which the lipstick is going to come off. That's okay though, that's all right. That's why we prepare, honey. That's why we have a plan A, B, and C. Okay, say it with me now, plan A, B, and C. So plan A, start with the lip stain for your day. This is a great way to make sure that you're gonna have a solid base and a good amount of color that's going to be long lasting. Now, I always like to go with something a little bit more with a little bit more of a pop, more of a bold finish. So then that way through the day, it's gonna transfer and it's gonna have a little bit more of a lighter effect by like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock when you're ready to hit those cocktails, okay? Now, when you're wearing a lip stain, look for something that's affordable, but still gonna give you that look. So I like lip stains from Ofra Cosmetics, LA Girl, MAC Cosmetics, and NARS. Those are my favorite lip stain companies. They have the best, and they're gonna make sure that you stay all day as well. Now, through the day, this is where we want to actually pick up that lipstick and use it to touch up. Yes, you can still use a lipstick. Get something that's going to be a color that complements your lip stain, or something that's going to add a little bit more of a brighter finish through the day, so you have this elevated look. You hear that? Elevated. So now we have plan A, which is our lip stain. Plan B is going to be our lipstick to touch up with. And plan C, my friends, go ahead and get yourself a little lip gloss, okay? Through by like 4 o'clock or so, our lips are feeling a little bit dry. We've been going and we've been talking to our bosses. You have that one argument with that coworker you know you can't stand, and you wrote 3 different emails biting your lips, which then bit off your lipstick, my friend. I know, I've been there too. Per the last email I said, I know. So with that being said, instead of throwing on that lipstick again and creating that chunky feathered finish that we've all seen Suzanne in the corner have, put on a lip gloss. Yes, you're going to have 3 products through the day, but that's okay for your self-esteem and your sense of mind and peace, hunty, okay? So say it with me. Plan A is our lip stain, plan B is a lipstick to touch up through the morning, and plan C, when Susan gets on your last dang nerve and you write the email 3 times, make sure you pull out a lip gloss and rehydrate those lips for a perfect, beautiful smile. That's all the beauty tips for this week, guys. Make sure you're writing in at Jure for the Slay or at Daily Blast Live or right below for your comments, concerns, and how many times you've reapplied that lip gloss after Susan made you a little bit mad too. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Let's stop acting like the democracy that we know and that we teach our kids is still in place. The 3 branches of government has been shown to be ineffective. The executive branch completely came in and dominated.
It's time to give a shout out to our DBL superstar of the week, meet Christian. He stepped up to take his little sister Skylar to a father-daughter dance when Skylar's dad stood her up. What? Skylar's mom is no longer with the dad, but she said she counted on him to show up. After missing out on the dance the year before when Skylar's dad stopped answering phone calls, Christian said he wanted to take his sister because she, quote, deserves a man who would keep his word and make her feel special. Wow. So they went out at the last minute. They got Christian a fly-looking suit to match Skylar's dress, and they both had a great time.
Oh, man.
That is so, you're gonna cry.
Yeah,
that's so cute. What a good brother.
Oh,
that's what you need siblings for, to be there when it's all rock bottom.
Yeah.
And they've been there with you. They're there to pull you up.
I love that kid.
Yeah.
Great story.
Do you need tissues? We have, oh no, it's a donut.
That one got me.
All right.
I do have
We'll
a
see you
donut.
Monday. Same time, same place. Be good, guys.
Tweet claims to offer an easier, less expensive way to get tested for this coronavirus. Instead of a $3,200 test, just go donate blood. Quote, they have to test you for the virus in order to donate blood. There's a lot to break down in this message. Our sources, the Red Cross, the CDC, and the American Blood Centers. First point here, it gets the cost wrong. Right now, per the CDC, the coronavirus test doesn't cost anything. Now, people getting tested may have to pay for hospital stays and procedures at the hospital, but that cost will be different for each person. And it's worth noting, insurance companies and state and federal officials are working to lower or remove those costs. Next to the idea of donating blood because they have to test you for the virus. That's downright false. The Red Cross does test blood for illnesses and viruses, but not for the new coronavirus. It's brand new. That test can only be performed at the CDC and a handful of research locations around the country right now. This claim is false, but it could cause people to question or worry about donating blood. Here are some facts to help dispel those fears. 1, the Red Cross won't let anyone who is sick donate, period. And 2, there is no evidence that blood transfusions can give you the virus. Put simply, if you're healthy, it is safe to donate and receive blood. This is a big deal because right now, the Red Cross and American Blood Centers both need more donations. Turnout was already low due to the flu, and now the coronavirus is making people stay home and even causing some blood drives to be canceled. This tweet has been deleted, but unfortunately, it's being reposted and shared on other platforms. Remember, it's false and could lead people to doubt the blood donation process at a time when donations are needed. If you're seeing more claims like this, send us an email. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
We're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
From Disney World to Broadway, the shutdowns and cancellations just keep on coming because of the coronavirus. How social distancing could make a huge difference. But what about the infected people who don't follow the rules? Today's question, what penalty should there be for breaking quarantine? And Gloria Gaynor is giving everyone a little hand-washing advice with a familiar tune.
Honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It is Friday, March 13th.
Yeah.
So it's Friday and the 13th. Good things.
Spooky.
Spooky, but
Jeff is not.
I'm not with that. My son was born on the 13th. I think Dan Marino was one of my favorite players. I like
13. My dad was born. Shout out to
But would you stay in a hotel room on the 13th floor?
Yes, because when you're on the 14th floor, you're on the 13th floor, so you're idiots if you think
Okay.
that.
And also, I'm not 7.
All right,
So, yeah.
I'm here with Lindsay, Jeff, Al.
Welcome,
Hey, listen, it's Friday. I'm fiery.
Excuse me. You don't understand. We're on one today. I'm here with Lindsay, Jeff, Al, and I'm Tori. Sam is on maternity leave. We love you. We hope you're doing well. We love Mark and Soph. All right, now the president is set to hold a press conference and is expected to declare a national emergency. Let's not freak out about that. That means FEMA can be kicked in, and that means money can start flooding in. This is a live look. I believe that's the Rose Garden, and what you're going to see is Trump come to the podium and deliver the speech. Now, we will, of course, check in back with that, but right now he is not there, so we're going to stick with us. A lot of people are wondering about this president. Has he been exposed to the coronavirus? There are conflicting reports right now about whether or not the Brazilian president, Jair Bolsonaro, has tested positive. We do know he is awaiting further testing to confirm, but people who recently met with the Brazilian president, like the mayor of Miami, have tested positive for the virus. But you know who also met with him? President Trump, along with Vice President Pence and several other prominent U.S. leaders. They were all together at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. They shook hands. They sat next to each other at a meal. They exchanged hats. And it's not just the president. The communications chief for the Brazilian president, who's on the right there in the hat, he has also tested positive, and Trump clearly came into contact with him. Meantime, the president's daughter Ivanka Trump and the Attorney General William Barr both met with this Australian official recently, who was also tested positive. I know, I feel like I'm just like reading off pain, but it's something that we need to be aware of and be and find a silver lining in, to be empowered about what we can do with it. Other world leaders like Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has also been exposed. He's in self-quarantine right now after his wife Sophie tested positive yesterday. I want to just go back to our president. You have an interesting take on why even if he has been tested or is positive, he might not want to tell the nation. And I want to hear what you guys all think.
Well, I just really appreciate transparency, and I would like that, but I know that it might cause chaos and then pandemic, right? Because a lot of people are wondering what's going on, and if the leader of our country is saying that he is in that age bracket where people can get really affected and then also has coronavirus, it's like, who is going to calm us down, quell everybody, and take the lead? I know for me, when I saw the news conference, I think on Wednesday, I was like, oh my God, okay, it's more serious when your president gets up there and starts telling you how serious it is. So now if he gets up there sick, telling you how serious it is, how much panic would there be?
But is he infecting all those people in the Rose Garden if he has it? And does he have a responsibility ethically? Because if we're supposed to get tested, shouldn't he?
Well, here's the thing. The president of Brazil has it. The prime minister of Canada has it. They're not going into panic.
Well, when I heard Justin Trudeau's wife had it, I was like, oh my God. Because like,
oh, the prime minister's wife has it. Sorry.
But that's what I mean. When I heard that, I was like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, he's leading the country.
Well, I don't even care about that. Here's my point. Be transparent, okay? We're all in this together. I don't care whether it's the president. I don't care if it's the guy on the bottom, okay? You have to be transparent. We're trying to contain this virus, right? If he's going around and leading by example by not containing it, we have to slow it down, and that means shutting things down for 2 weeks. That's it. No panic. Just calming things down so we stop the spread of this disease. The president needs to do it. Your next door neighbor needs to do it. We all need to do it for our society.
I agree with you. Well said. All right, everywhere you look, America is shutting down to try and slow this coronavirus pandemic, as Jeff was saying. Disney's closing all of its U.S. parks, including Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and California Adventure. By the way, they are paying their workers, though, which is
awesome.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people behind the scenes at Disney. Meantime, more than 6 million kids across the nation are about to be out of school. 8 states announced closing next week, and major school districts, we're just getting these in, Los Angeles, San Diego, Houston, and Denver, right here, are also shutting their doors. Late night has also gone dark. Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers' shows have all suspended production for the next few weeks. On The View, 77-year-old Joy Behar announced yesterday she's going to take a break from the show just to be safe. What kind of steps are you guys taking to make sure you're not a vector or passing it along?
I mean, look, we're going to go over and over this, and I'm fine with that. You have to do what Jeff said, and he's just parroting what we've all said and what I've said and what Lindsay said. You have to step away from people, and it's going to mean you sacrificing doing things that you love. I love doing stand-up comedy. I have a gig in Boulder tonight that was canceled. I have a gig in Miami, Florida tomorrow that was canceled. I had a gig in Ohio at the end of this month that was canceled. It's not about me. It's about the people in the audience. Whatever they have doing, they need to stop doing it. We all need to stop. Anything you say that starts with the word I need to do this, you don't. It's automatically selfish.
Yeah, and I think the government needs to do something too, because what's number one, sadly, in this country is money.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what people care about. If everyone's like, listen, I could rest easy for 2 weeks knowing I'm still going to get paid, knowing I still have a job, knowing I'm going to be okay at the end of this, and businesses need to know that they're going to take some sort of a hit.
Absolutely.
They're not going to make as much money as they do last year, but we're fighting an invisible enemy here. People just want to be like, oh, we're going to get through this and it's business as usual. It's not. Everyone needs to do their part.
And hopefully it becomes like a federal thing, which is what I think the president's going to speak about today, because, you know, even a festival that I was going to go to in the coming days got canceled last minute after the Puerto Rican government basically said this thing is canceled. But the festival organizers were going to go on, it seemed like, until that happened, and we had to make a decision last week, like, we're canceling this. We're not comfortable traveling. So I hope that everybody takes that lead, just like we're not going to go do these things.
I mean, in Italy, what's great is the economic stimulus. They don't have to pay their mortgage or rent for a month. We need something like that. People have no family sick leave. A JetBlue passenger traveling from New York to Florida found out mid-air that he had tested positive for the virus. Now JetBlue has banned him from flying with them after he boarded the plane knowing he was waiting for the results. So there were 114 passengers who were on board at the time, and this has us asking, what should be the penalty for people who break the public health protocol and leave quarantine? I checked in with my dad, who's an attorney, and he was saying it's very similar to if you know you have an STD and sleep with someone. And in some states, you can literally sue for negligence or even battery. And I think at some point we need a strong deterrent to say, back off, stay home. Otherwise, no one's going to listen.
I think he should be the poster kid for it. I mean, really, like, if you think about, he's not wondering about how it affects him at all, but like, if it's his grandmother someone else did that to, then he would see how that affects him. And so somebody else's sick person or has an autoimmune disease could have been on that plane, and you're putting them at risk to anything.
How selfish
I think there should be some financial penalty put in place that is substantial to let people know you can't do this. My only question with this, and of course everything is not as easy as it seems, if it's a stiff penalty, then I feel like that would disincentivize people from getting tested, because that way you can go with the ignorance, not ignorance is bliss defense, and just say, I didn't know, because you technically don't. So even if you're exhibiting symptoms. So I worry about that, but you got to hit people in the checkbook. Unfortunately, that's the only place where they feel it.
Yeah, I remember Jay Inslee, I think of Indiana, I believe is the governor, said, what do you do if your constituents don't want to stay home? Then you're going to kill your grandpa. And that's as real as it gets.
You need to start talking like that.
Talk like
we
that.
need to stop dancing around this.
But I want to be honest about it. Exactly. So I thought that was interesting. So how much responsibility, as Lindsay said, do artists have if they're still performing at large concerts? All right, we are here in Denver, and last night, this was the Post Malone concert right here in Denver. It was at the Pepsi Center. It was packed, and it holds up to 20,000 people. This is the same venue where Denver's NBA and NHL teams would be playing had their seasons not already been suspended. But should concerts like this happen? And should Post Malone have said, I'm going to Post Malone postpone? I tried.
Jeff,
you tried, but this is a very serious conversation I want to have here. I don't know if Post Malone himself should be in trouble, but his management company, whoever puts on that show, should be sued. Okay, I live here in Denver. Now, if the one person in that place had that, 20,000 other people are at risk of having that, and now they're going out into the Denver metropolitan area, which is spreading like that. This is irresponsible. All the professional teams shut down. Why in the world do you think you're so special that you could have a concert like this?
Is it generational?
I don't care what it is either. I don't care if it's financial. I don't care generational. That's ignorant, and you're putting my family at risk now.
And think about this, Jeff. Those people didn't leave that concert and go, I'm going to go home and play Scrabble now. They left that arena. We all know that area. There's bars, there's restaurants down there. They went somewhere else. So then they took that. I hope they had fun. Because they then went out and took that, where you're having, trying to have maybe a last dinner with Colin. You're trying to go out with Jordan one more time, and now they're about, and you're not, but anybody.
But if I have to go to a grocery store and one of those people happen to be at the same grocery store, guess what?
Yeah.
That's right.
Blake Shelton just, canceled his show at the Pepsi Center. Post Malone should have done as well, says Kat G.
Yes.
So it is
I'm not happy. I'm a fan of Post Malone.
And how much money does he have? He can't push back a concert. LeBron did it.
And as a role model, stay indoors. Don't promote coming out. I agree with you. Coming up, the coronavirus conversation continues, but back by popular demand. And again, my girl crush, Dr. Pyle Coley. Yes. I love her. She's answering all your questions live right after the break. And then later, the weird connection between Gloria Gaynor's song, I Will Survive, and staying clean during the pandemic. And DIY queen Lauren Mack, and friend of the show, has advice for your next crafty project and explains why not everything has to be Pinterest worthy. We'll be right back.
But my question was just about the last. Are we on?
Okay.
First of all, welcome back.
Thank you. Pleasure.
You're becoming part of the panel
I
now.
love it.
We love it. We love it.
Do you feel like family already?
I do feel like family.
Yeah, you are. I just posed a question to them. How fast could someone get the disease and then spread it onto someone, meaning the Post Malone concert yesterday? Are you going to talk about that in the upcoming segment?
I wasn't going to, but I'm happy to answer it now.
Okay, cool.
So within a few hours, you can start to have viral particles in your secretions. And you won't have symptoms for an average of 5 days.
Right.
So if the concert was last night, a lot of these people may not even know that they're sick until Tuesday of next week. And in the meantime, they're still infectious.
And taking Ubers and going out and things like that.
Think about how many Ubers they took that then went and picked somebody else up.
Right, and that's 20,000 people in one area. I know we're not that at explosive place yet, but how irresponsible was that?
Very irresponsible. Actually, really made me upset, and I feel like this morning
too.
the governor made an announcement, no more gatherings of greater than 250, and I think even that is too generous.
Do you think it should be 100? Some states are doing 100. You think it should be like 10 people?
We should be shutting it down.
All of it, okay.
Yes, because even 10 people can spread it around, and we're going to be talking about exponential spread in a minute, and you'll see 10 people can become millions very, very quickly.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I think he's going to hold off.
Anyways, we're talking
bad
about
on
the
you,
president.
Oh, sorry, we're talking about the president.
Yeah,
We
the
were-
president's supposed to come
I
on.
can't believe he's not getting more shame, and I guarantee
I think
he was on that stage saying, "We're not going to let the coronavirus
Oh,
stop
for
us,
sure.
are we? No!" All that kind of stuff. You know what it is, and while they're up, the irony of them yelling that, and then exposing their throats and
How about
everything
a
to
rally?
particles.
Same thing. The rally's going to get everybody infected.
Yeah,
It's
very
so ironic. I mean,
irresponsible.
it's
I feel very old saying that, but it's the truth, you know?
Jeff,
even book clubs.
more than that.
Welcome back to DBL. Back by popular demand is Dr. Pyle Coley
Yes.
to answer your questions. Someone wrote, "I.e. the DBL doctor," which is very nice. But first, we do have an important topic. We want to start with the concept of exponential spread and how social distancing is really important right now.
Yeah, so
let us
critical
know.
concept to understand why we're doing what we're doing. So exponential spread means if I contract the coronavirus virus, I give it to an average of 2 to 3 other people, so everybody at this table. You guys will go home and each give it to 2 to 3 other people. So now we've gone from 1 to 3 to 9. And those 9 people will each give it to 3 other people. So we've gone to 27. And so you can see within a matter of a few weeks, we can go from 1 person to millions and millions of people because each of those people is spreading it to 2 or 3 other people. So that's in our control. We can actually stop that process with social distancing.
Wow.
All right, let's get to these questions because Susan says, I have a habit of touching my face. I do too, Susan. I'm working on it. Is it okay to touch my face after I wash my hands or use hand sanitizer?
That's a good question.
Probably yes, but I prefer that you do it after you wash your hands because that gets the germs off, whereas the hand sanitizer only kills the germs, but they're still on your skin.
Oh.
So if you're going to touch your face, like put on makeup or something, wash your hands for 20 seconds and then you can.
Wow. Good.
All right. I did not know that about the hand sanitizer. Molly asks, my wedding is 70 days away. Congrats, Molly. At the end of May, 250 people are expected. How can I keep my guests safe, or should I make alternate plans? That's a great question.
Yeah, Molly, congratulations. But at this point, I would say start to think about making alternative plans. At the end of May, it's still 2 months away. We're not sure where we'll be. But if I had to predict, the virus is probably still going to be here. We're still going to be thinking about social distancing. So I think it's important to make alternate plans because you want to keep your loved ones safe.
That's a smart idea. Well, Steve asks, and I've had this question, what if someone who prepares your food for the masses, right, comes down with the coronavirus? Can your food be contaminated? And Dr. Coley, please also let people know what you said about my food. I was microwaving something.
Yes. So absolutely, yes, your food can be contaminated a number of different ways. One is that if somebody happens to cough and those respiratory droplets go directly into the food. The other is if the utensils that are being used to prepare the food, like the stainless steel, can have the virus last on it for several days, 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
And then the third is we're just learning as of a report of this morning that came out in the New England Journal of Medicine that there may be some fecal oral spread. So that means if somebody goes to the bathroom, doesn't wash their hands, and maybe then prepares your food, there's a possibility that may also spread the virus. So if you've got your food sitting out, cover it.
Yeah, she said make sure you cover it because I go back and forth. She said
At
don't leave it
home or-
out. No, right here. Don't leave
or
it
in a
out.
public place?
In a public place.
Right.
In a public place.
Oh, I see. And then just quickly, someone just wrote in a Facebook, thank you, Alma, can being in a cold room kill the coronavirus? Hospital rooms are usually cold to kill the germs. I want to make sure we definitely say what this is.
Or hot, and
Or
on that
hot.
same token.
Yeah, so how long the virus lasts on surfaces can depend on the ambient temperature, but you can't really control the virus inside your body based on the temperature of the room.
And we don't know that if warm temperatures, that's another rumor going around, that kills the virus.
That's a rumor. So with the flu, we're hopeful that it will. With the flu, it does go down, but what we've seen is that Australia is having summer right now. It's warm there. Singapore was hot and humid, and they still have cases there, so.
Good point.
And then really quickly, just because we have a little bit more time, a lot of people writing me, I'm not going to a place of 100 people. I'm going to, let's say, a book club or a dinner party, 6, 7, 8 people, right? How are you feeling? And I'm again, not panicking, but we want the facts here. How would you suggest your family take care of that?
I'm telling my family and friends not to at this time. This is really important for the next 2 or 3 weeks to really lay low, and that's even a few people. So anyone increases your risk. In fact, even within your family, you want to do social distancing between husband and wife, between boyfriend boyfriend, girlfriend, just to be careful, because anyone they've been exposed to is somebody that you're going to be exposed to. And I always like to think about the silver linings of everything.
Please.
Yes.
What is it? Well, I'm like all freaked out. What is the silver lining, doctor?
The silver lining is that this has given us a chance to slow down. We have such busy lives. We're running around all the time. We don't have time for our family. We don't have time for ourselves. And this is an opportunity to stay at home, really connect with our family, and really slow down for a little bit.
That's good to remember.
Yeah.
Maybe read, needlepoint.
Yeah.
A lot of things you
Board
can do.
games.
Orchids, there you go.
Board games.
Or games. I thought she should have orchids. I thought she was a florist. Okay.
No,
Thank you, Dr. Coley. Now, if you want more information about the coronavirus, go to cdc.gov or the World Health Organization's website. Now, again, Dr. Coley is going to stick around. We're talking more about the virus in our commercial breaks. So tune in now to our live feed on Facebook and YouTube. Again, no panic, just prevention, precautions. No panic, just the facts. We'll be right back. We're getting someone from Dave Schneider asks, Dr. Coley, how long does it take to get test results?
So if you get tested with the state level, it usually takes 48 hours. LabQuest or LabCorp or Quest or some private labs can take up to 3 days, but there's a new test under development that's supposed to give a result within 2 hours. So that may be coming in the pipeline.
A lot of people saying, why is toilet paper being sold out? Again, can you list your 3 things you should be stocking up with right now?
Yeah, so first is prescription drugs, so it's really important to have those on hand. Second is household products, one of which is toilet paper, but remember, you don't need to go crazy with the toilet paper. Other things like
It's
food,
crazy,
canned
right?
products. Yeah.
My manager was like, that's the one thing I don't get, this toilet paper thing.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It's like one person
did
did it.
well. Well, I went to. Well, were you finished?
And the third last thing is just cleaning products.
Yeah, I went to Costco yesterday. So what's going on, and I mentioned this last hour, is that social media is putting out crazy like lines and people hysteria and empty shelves. I went to Costco yesterday after work, after all the craziness. There was paper towels, diapers for my children, baby wipes. Everything was there. I went to the grocery store this morning to pick something up. It was fine, but social media puts out, it's like this zombie world, you know? And it's like, don't look at that. It's fine.
A lot of people also rating in Cat G, stock up on some gas. A full tank is important.
I've already done that, yeah.
Welcome back to DBL. Lauren Mack is an interior design queen, TV host, and friend of the show. I'm obsessed with her. Earlier, she told me all about her new show, I'm so excited, Shop Class, and how there's no such thing as a mistake when you're being creative. That's our DBL Spotlight. One of my favorite human beings on this planet, Lauren Mack. Welcome to DBL. We're so excited to have you back as a friend of the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much. You know, I love you guys. This is a dream come true to be with you this morning.
It's so true. Now, you make DIY look easy, but it seems like there's some fierce competition in your new show, Shop Class. So you're a veteran when it comes to TV show competitions. You're no strangers to drama. How did it go, though, when kids are up against the clock?
Oh, man, you know, it's such a different ball of wax. Like, when these children get together, they're much more creative than I think even adults are.
Really?
I was so inspired by watching these children. Like, I used to even call them children. I'll call them students because they were really students of life. They really showed up and showed out.
I wanted to ask you this. Did you ever find them when you guys were on a break on their phones a lot? Were they like, was it hard to get them to switch from the screen to the shop?
Never. And you know what? That is exactly why I love Shop Class, our show, because it really is an homage to using your hands and your imagination and kind of getting off of the screen time and not utilizing the tablets and the iPads. That's what I love about this show. You know, whether you're 9 or 199, you can identify with being able to use your imagination, get creative, you know, get your hands on stuff and just try new things. This is an homage to that. It's about making, and it's about getting your hands dirty again. And I never saw one of those kids on a phone.
That's awesome. Now, you've been crowned the DIY queen, which you are, but I want to know something. Ding! I am scared of DIY. So how do you convince someone like me to DIY instead of buy?
For me, I didn't just wake up. I wasn't just born a DIY queen, but thank you for the title.
You're very welcome, Your Majesty.
It's a lot of. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've messed up a lot of stuff, and it's all in the perfection of the craft.
Now, I do want to say, Mazel Tov, we're so thrilled about your pregnancy. We all saw the announcement on Good Morning America when you shocked us all. I want to know, were you nervous, A, to make the announcement, but B, you were trying to get a job while pregnant, and I want to know, just like Lauren to Tori, the DBL Nation wants to know, was that scary?
You know, it really is. It's such an exciting time in my life to have my second child be born and brought into this world, and I'm so excited about him coming into this world. It's a boy, by the way. Exclusive to DBL.
I'm so excited. Exclusive.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren Mack, for chatting. You are my Mac Attack. I'm so proud and so happy. I can't wait to see all the DIY masterpieces and your baby boy on Shopclass.
Thank you. I love you all.
We love you, Lauren. I love that girl. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Hey guys, this is Dr. Coley's social distancing, and I really like her, so I'm like, hello. No, we want to talk about two things. One, cash, and then we want to bring this up, and credit cards. I didn't know this. It lives on plastic,
It can
the
live on
virus.
plastic and it can live on paper. So it's really important after you touch cash or credit cards, even because you hand it to someone or put it in the machine, really wash your hands or sanitize them before you touch your face or touch anyone else.
Okay, so sanitize your credit cards too with a wipe, maybe, yeah?
Yeah, Clorox wipe, yeah.
Clorox wipe it. Now, if you are dealing with cash, as we said yesterday, China burned a lot of their cash because it lives on it.
Yeah.
They had to. What is a good plan if we only deal in cash, let's say?
So I would say put it in a Ziploc baggie so that you're not directly contacting the cash, and put it away in a drawer. Now, if you need to use it all the time, even within your wallet, think about putting it in a Ziploc bag so that it's closed off.
Okay, and if you are touching it, go ahead and wash your hands right
20
afterwards.
seconds, yep.
Again, if I were to tell you that my sleep has been disrupted by this,
Yeah.
and my anxiety has been really bad, what are some suggestions just as a doctor to tell me to do? Because I'm being a little honest, there's some people here that are really uncomfortable, and there are different types of anxiety levels that are status quo, and some people have reached a little too high for them. So what do you feel about that?
So I would say that's, first of all, that's normal.
Right,
I
okay.
myself, even as a physician, have some level of anxiety
No.
about this. And that's normal. The first thing I would say is to take a deep breath.
Okay.
Because we are going to be okay. I promise you that. We're working on this. We see the fire coming. We've called the fire department, and now it's our job to all work together to make sure we put out that fire.
Wow, you did make me feel better.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So just try to remember that this is just a tough period. It means making some sacrifices as an individual, as a community, but we're all going to emerge victorious from this, as we have done with other pandemics.
That's right,
in the past.
1918.
Right.
They've had really bad things before where we've done way worse. So just know that we're in this together as Americans, and that's the silver lining.
It is.
All right, we'll be right back. Bye, guys.
Bye.
back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. Al, how are people feeling out there?
People are feeling, I think, how everybody's feeling. That's not a great description, but I think we all know. Bonnie says, I'm supposed to go to a wedding in May, and the bride just canceled. So you know it's serious when the bride cancels, but good on that bride. It's bigger than her. It's bigger than her wedding. This is about all of our health and safety. Sonia, love that name, says, shutting everything down may seem extreme, but precautions now help prevent even more disease later.
I want to know kind of from the doctor, like, what's a good time if you do move your wedding from, let's say, in May? Is October good? Or like, you know?
We don't know right now. We don't know.
She'll be back and we'll ask her. We'll find out.
Here's what's coming up next on DBL.
Fans are freaking out about Betty White getting the coronavirus, how our national treasure is putting our minds at ease, and hand washing tips with a familiar tune. Will survive when DBL comes back.
In recent days, people have been talking about flattening the curve when it comes to fighting coronavirus, but what days, people have been talking about flattening the curve when it comes to fighting coronavirus, but what does that mean? Let's connect the dots. A disease specialist at Harvard estimates up to 60% of people could contract coronavirus. And while public officials are working to slow the spread of the virus, stopping it completely might be impossible. Yet slowing the speed of the outbreak could be vital to saving lives. It's called flattening the curve. The curve is a huge spike in cases that could overwhelm the American health system. Hospitals right now are already dealing with a bad flu season. If they are inundated with coronavirus patients, there may not be enough beds or critical equipment like ventilators available. That's why public health officials want to cancel mass gatherings, encourage people to work from home, and practice social distances. Those tactics may not stop the spread, but it could flatten the curve. Connecting the dots, I'm Janelle Bluda for H-Town Rush. In recent days, people
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. That's disco legend Gloria Gaynor washing her hands to her iconic song, I Will Survive. She looks fantastic.
She does.
Doesn't she? The video is getting a ton of views amid the coronavirus pandemic, and it has inspired others to take the I Will Survive challenge. It's actually one of the songs on Rita Wilson's quarantine playlist. She and her husband, Tom Hanks, tested positive and are in isolation in Australia. Tom updated fans on Instagram saying they're taking it one day at a time, and, quote, despite all the current events, there's no crying in baseball. It's a throwback line from his movie A League of Their Own. So I wanted to ask you what would be the most important song on your quarantine playlist?
Wow, I wasn't prepared. I think that's pretty specific.
You gotta always be prepared for Around the Horn with Tori.
Around the Horn? I love Around the Horn. I think it would have to be Jay-Z. I got to think about which one. Come back to me.
Okay.
All right, mine would be Prince's I Will Die For You. I love that song.
Oh, that's a good one.
I will die for like family stuff.
Someone wrote in they were really happy you mentioned Prince because that's a great song. They love that song.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like a deep cut a little bit. There's a group called The Clips, and they had a song called Feeling Good, and it makes you it's just about a good day, just driving around your neighborhood. So I would do that because it's like with the washing hands, it becomes monotonous, and it kind of reminds you of what we're dealing with. So just a song saying I'm feeling good and just reminding yourself to be healthy, that's what I'm going with.
And can I just interject real fast that there's a challenge about washing your hands is embarrassing.
I agree. Why? That's people are washing.
Oh, there needs to be a challenge to open a door for somebody?
Oh, mine would be Jay-Z public service announcement. But I got to tell you guys something. Al put me onto a really good song that makes me feel good.
Wait, don't share it. It's a surprise. We're going to surprise everybody on TikTok with it.
Oh my God,
me and Lindsay we're doing a challenge
No, I wasn't talking about that one.
All right, really quick.
What's yours, Tori?
I would do Toes in the Sand by Zach Brown. Something about the beach and relaxing, you know what I mean? But I do want to let you guys know we have breaking news. Trump is speaking, and I think we are a live show. Let's go ahead and dip in and take a live look at Trump right now in the Rose Garden.
And they're very usable for certain instances, but not for this. To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency. Two very big words. The action I am taking will open up access to up to $50 billion of very important and a large amount of money for states and territories and localities in our shared fight against this disease. In furtherance of the order, I'm urging every state to set up emergency operation centers effective immediately. You're going to be hearing from some of the largest companies and greatest retailers and medical companies in the world. They're standing right behind me and inside of me. I'm also asking every hospital in this country to activate its emergency preparedness plan so that they can meet the needs of Americans everywhere. The hospitals are very engaged. New York and various other places are also very engaged. I just spoke with Governor Cuomo. We had a very good conversation, and we're working very strongly with many states, including New York. The emergency orders I'm issuing today will also confer broad new authority to the Secretary of Health and Human Services. The Secretary of HHS will be able to immediately waive provisions of applicable laws and regulations to give doctors, all hospitals, and healthcare providers maximum flexibility to respond to the virus and care for patients. This includes the following critical authorities: the ability to waive laws to enable telehealth, a fairly new and incredible thing that's happened in the not so distant past. I tell you, what they've done with telehealth is incredible. It gives remote doctors visits and hospital check-ins, the power to waive certain federal license requirements so that doctors from other states can provide services in states with the greatest need. Number two, the ability to waive requirements that critical access hospitals limit the number of beds to 25 and the length of stay to 96 hours. The ability to waive the requirements of a 3-day hospital stay prior to admission to a nursing home, big thing. The authority to waive the rules to hinder hospitals' ability to bring additional physicians on board or obtain needed office space. They can do as they want. They can do what they have to do. They know what they have to do. Now they don't have any problem getting it done. The authority to waive rules that severely restrict where hospitals can care for patients within the hospital itself, ensuring that the emergency capacity can be quickly established. We'll remove or eliminate every obstacle necessary to deliver our people the care that they need and that they're entitled to. No resource will be spared, nothing whatsoever. 10 days ago, I brought together the CEOs of commercial labs at the White House and directed them to immediately begin working on a solution to dramatically increase the availability of tests. Other countries have called us and worked with us, and they're doing similar things or will be doing similar things. As a result of that action today, we're announcing a new partnership with private sector to vastly increase and accelerate our capacity to test for the coronavirus. We want to make sure that those who need a test can get a test very safely, quickly, and conveniently. But we don't want people to take a test if we feel that they shouldn't be doing it. And we don't want everyone running out and taking, only if you have certain symptoms. Using federal emergency authorities, the FDA approved a new test for the virus. We did this within hours after receiving the application from Roche, a process that would normally take weeks. We therefore expect up to 500,000 additional tests will be available early next week. We'll be announcing locations probably on Sunday night. I want to thank Roche, great company, for their incredible work. I'd also like to thank Thermo Fisher. The FDA's goal is to hopefully authorize the application within 24 hours. It'll go very quickly. It's going very quickly, which will bring additionally 1.4 million tests on board next week and 5 million within a month. I doubt we'll need anywhere near that. At the same time, we've been in discussions with pharmacies and retailers to make drive-through tests available in the critical locations identified by public health professionals. The goal is for individuals to be able to drive up and be swabbed without having to leave your car. I want to thank Google. Google is helping to develop a website. It's going to be very quickly done, unlike websites of the past, to determine whether a test is warranted and to facilitate testing at a nearby convenient location. We have many, many locations behind us, by the way. We cover this country and large parts of the world, by the way. We're not going to be talking about the world right now, but we cover very, very strongly our country, stores in virtually every location. Google has 1,700 engineers working on this right now. They've made tremendous progress. Our overriding goal is to stop the spread of the virus and to help all Americans who have been impacted by this. Again, we don't want everybody taking this test. It's totally unnecessary. And this will pass. This will pass through, and we're going to be even stronger for it. We've learned a lot. Tremendous amount has been learned. I want to thank Deborah Birx, and I want to ask her maybe to come up and say a few words as to what's happening. Dr. Birx is a highly respected person I've gotten to know very well over the last 6 days. And what we've done is rebuilt something that was very old-fashioned, somewhat obsolete, certainly obsolete when it comes to the kind of numbers that we're talking about. Dr. Birx, please. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, guys, we just wanted to give you a little update on that. Was the president speaking at the Rose Garden? He said they're going to spend $50 billion. They've enacted a national emergency, which means FEMA can start going to all states. They're also talking about telehealth. If you don't know what that means, Dr. Coley talked about it, where you talk to your doctor through FaceTime so that you avoid going to germ places like that. He talked about 5 million tests in maybe a month. We have 308 million people in the United States. And he did nothing to talk about economic stimulus, and I think most people are really worried about their bills and the rents and the mortgage. So we'll stay with this, but what do you guys think of the speech?
One thing that I thought about is the tests. He said that we're going to get 1.4 million within the next week, which is good. He said he kind of calmed the panic of everybody getting tested.
Right.
I'm one of those people that thinks everybody should get tested.
I do too.
But if we don't have the tests and people who are more urgently needing it need to get done, he said 5 billion by the end of the month. So I don't know what those numbers look like.
5 million.
Oh, 5 million.
Million,
So if everybody's staying inside and you have 5 million tests, hopefully we're doing the thing to tell you to bring that number from here to more of a graph that looks like this and flat across.
I'd like to ask the doctor, it's like with the tests, they're saying kind of save the test for the people that are sick, but aren't those the people we kind of know are sick?
Right.
Wouldn't you want to test the people that think that they might be sick? Or think that they might have been exposed?
Right. Again, it's limited supply.
Right.
So it's supply and demand.
That's what I'm basing it off that. Like, if you're really sick and somebody can look at you and you're like,
but it might. You could still be sick. That's what their teledoc comes in. You could still be sick and be like, oh, you know what? You have an infected throat. It doesn't necessarily mean you have coronavirus. So I've gotten prescriptions through teledoc too.
Oh,
so it's a good way to go in there and not contaminate anyone else. But if you have those symptoms on teledoc, they're going to say come in and get tested or go to a drive-through facility. That's where you need to test someone. Like if I would love to be tested, but I'm not going to test myself if there's a limited supply.
And I'm reading that he's he's waiving certain guidelines that have to do with Medicare and Medicaid. So hopefully those people who do need it and are on Medicare are going to get the health and help.
That's great. We got to go really quickly, but I want to just say we're looking up for the economic stimulus. We'll brief you when we get that, but let us know your reactions coming up on DBL. If you're confused all about the coronavirus misinformation, stick around. We're separating fact from fiction coming up next. All right, so if you guys don't know what the Stafford Act is, that's what John Venturini put in. He's such a little nerd alert. The Stafford Act was built in 1974, basically to help take over. What's Tim Ryan? To take over. Basically, quarantine, taking over the laws, and giving a lot more power to the executive branch. So it's basically the president can take over. A lot of people writing in, he seemed sort of shortness of breath. A lot of people have been saying that.
Don't speculate on that. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'm just telling you.
No,
what
I know you are, but I think you come with a little bias, and I don't want to I don't want to politicize what's going. I think health is more important than politics. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, okay, that's fair. I know someone who's short of breath, but he refuses to think it could be this virus. He says it is asthma, which I don't believe since he's never shown any asthma signs. Let me ask you, Dr. Coley, do you think the president said we don't want everyone taking the test? Do you think everyone should be taking the test?
Yeah, I disagree. I think one of the only ways that we're going to get ahead of this thing is by testing, testing, and testing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've learned from the other countries where we've seen where they've tested thousands of people every day, not thousands of people in a month.
Mm-hmm.
For example, here in the United States, for every one test we've done, Korea has done 700.
Okay, cool.
That's how they're finally able to.
Should we skip the myths and just talk?
Yeah, let's just talk.
Let's just talk. Do you guys want to do that?
Way better.
Guys, we're DBL. We're very open and honest with you. We had some myths that we were going to talk about, and we did. We will get to those, but I want to let you know we just want to talk to the doctor. So we're going to keep it real and just talk to Dr. Coley. She's now sitting very close to me. She's going to start anchoring the show, I think, soon, which is going to be amazing. One question that we just had: the president spoke, $50 billion coming to help stop it, but mostly he said we have 1.4 million tests by next week, 5 million by next month. You don't need to test everyone. He kept repeating that. Do you agree with the president?
I don't agree with the president. I think a lot of what we're going to do in the next few months really is informed by what we saw in South Korea, in China, and in places like Italy, where really they've outstripped their healthcare resources because they didn't test enough. And I think here in our own country, we've already seen the fallacy of not testing enough. The reason we're here today is because we didn't test enough when it first got here. And that's really what all the experts are saying. So we shouldn't necessarily be thinking millions. We should be thinking tens of millions of tests.
I wanted to ask you because he talked a lot about talking to your doctor virtually, and that could be an option. So is that something that will be a positive thing? How can a doctor tell you your symptoms, I'm wondering, over your phone or anything electronic?
Yeah, so I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages. The big advantage of talking to your doctor virtually is you do that social distancing, avoid direct contact, and you don't actually infect the healthcare workers, because that's one of the problems we're seeing is that the healthcare workers are getting exposed and then they go into quarantine and then we create a shortage. The disadvantage, of course, is your doctor can't actually check you out, check your vital signs and things like that. So sometimes we have to rely more on testing for that reason.
So let me ask you this. We're obviously short in supply for testing, and people all want to be tested. I want to be tested. What do you What do you think we should do? I mean, the president's getting in $5 million. Obviously, we have $300 million in the United States. What do we do with that short supply?
Right. So I think there needs to be a graded response. So right now, we're only testing people, essentially, really, who've had both symptoms and exposure. And in my opinion, that's a little bit too stringent because we have community spread, which by definition means you don't know if you've had exposure. So since we're not testing people just with symptoms, we're not going to be able to pick up those cases of community spread. Now, testing people who are completely asymptomatic, I think maybe a little bit step too far.
So you want it somewhere in the middle there.
Right.
Can you explain that South Korea, how many tests they're doing versus what we're doing right now?
Yeah, so for every one test we do, they do 700. Now, of course, there's population
That's a big number. I want people to hear
and
that.
I want to know, do you think that we should be going further? Like the president, a lot of people were looking for him to say different things in that speech, like say if we can stop all travel or say if people should stop events across the country. Do you think we should do things like that and that should be a federal mandate?
That is a great question. So I think there's two ways we can get ahead of this thing. The first is to test, and selectively quarantine. Because if we're testing a lot of people, then we know what it's doing, where it is, including community spread. The second is shut everything down. So I think those are kind of our two options in the next few weeks for really getting ahead of this thing. Because continuing to test very selectively and allowing life as usual with things like airplane travel and other things that we know allow for community spread.
It's like shooting yourself in the foot in a little bit of a way.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you this. We're all feeling a little, can I be honest? We're all feeling that.
Yeah.
What's a positive way we can look at this? You told me it's going to end.
Yeah.
Talk to the DBL Nation and me about that.
Me too.
And
focus on all the silver linings. So the big silver lining is resources. We're getting more and more resources to do this. The other silver lining, despite the feeling of panic that we're getting, is that now people are finally on board. Our government is on board. We're all realizing the importance of this and the importance of getting ahead of it.
Strong leadership as well.
And we know it's coming to an end. We know it's going to end, just like we know it's coming. And it's, if we stick with this plan, it will come to an end.
And at least we're getting updated, getting some information.
That's right.
Better than silence.
That's right. We want to thank everyone. Thank you, Dr. Coley. She'll stay with us, Facebook, YouTube. Stick around. Thank you for letting us just be us. We appreciate that so much. We will be right back.
So some people are saying that one thing is that certain hotspots, this is reported, that the president could close off travel domestically to hotspots. What do those areas look like to you? Where should people be looking out for that you could see could be the next in the country places that might shut down?
Yeah, so the hotspots that we're seeing, the epicenters of the virus are really in Washington State, in California, in New York, the places where the virus is growing very, very quickly. And we heard the governor of New York has actually put a containment zone in one of the towns in New York because it is considered one of those hotspots. But again, with time, we could all become hotspots. Every part in the country could become hotspots. So again, we have to be real careful because if we're allowing for intermingling, doing it just very selectively may or may not really flatten that curve that we're trying to flatten.
Right.
And I don't want to scare people, but it's probably we're going to find out it's going to grow before it reduces. I don't want to scare anybody, right? But I don't want to put. I'm getting to a good point here. So without finding a vaccine, I was listening to a doctor, and I believe I was listening to some other doctor. And I believe we talked about this the other day. It'll start containing itself once more people get the disease. It passes through their system, and they no longer have it anymore. That means they can't spread the disease, which will naturally make it go down.
Right. Right. So that's exactly right. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So let's expect that.
Yes.
Let's not panic about that. And things will get better as more people catch it. It'll become less spreadable.
Does it exponentially go down, or is it a different period?
Welcome back to DBL. You know what time it is? It's tax filing time, and budgetologist Felicia Jones is here to discuss ways to get a bigger tax refund on today's Dollars and Cents presented by John Hancock. Felicia, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We love having you here. And who doesn't like to get that big fat check from the man,
I
Felicia?
know. I haven't gotten one in years, so
Maybe you can walk us through on how other people might be able to get that.
Yes, we'll definitely do that. All right, so when it comes to tax filing season, you know, we always want to figure out how to get the biggest refund
Absolutely.
ever. So the first thing you want to do is assess your filing status. For those who are married, you want to look at filing jointly or filing separately. And also for single people, you want to look at filing single or head of household. And that's a very distinct one. If you are taking care of a dependent person, you could actually get a few more credits on your tax return.
Okay, who specifically could be added on as a dependent?
When it comes to a dependent, it can be an elderly parent or, you know, taking care of a cousin. So you have to really work with your tax accountant just to see who qualifies as a dependent that you're taking care of in your house.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to claim all deductions and credits. Now, when we get to deductions and credits, sometimes we just forget. The first one is charitable contributions. Sometimes we forget all of the money that we donated, the clothes that we donated. We can actually write that off on our taxes, so don't forget that.
So when you go like to Goodwill and they give you that little piece of paper,
actually,
hang on to
yes,
that.
put it in. I put mine in the glove compartment and bring it out during tax time.
Good idea.
So remember that. The other one is student loan interest. Sometimes we forget to claim our student loan interest. And then finally, all of the state income taxes that you paid the previous year.
Right.
Sometimes we forget that little card that comes in the mail. You can absolutely put that on your taxes, and that'll help you start getting that bigger tax refund. The final thing that you want to do is you can still make last-minute contributions to HSAs and IRAs, and you can still open up an account up until April 15th and max it out. And that will definitely lower your taxable income and help you get that big fat paycheck.
We talked about that before.
We've talked about it before.
Felicia, always putting money in my pocket.
I love it. I love it. And the final thing, you know, always double check your math, you know, proofread so that you don't forget anything, and meet the deadlines. Sometimes, you know, we forget the deadlines and we'll start paying more money.
All right, nobody wants that.
No, we don't want to pay more money.
We don't want to give it out.
No.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Always great having you here. To submit your financial questions for the next Dollars and Cents, please email Ask Mrs. Jones at dailyblastlive.com. And for info about life insurance and retirement planning, call John Hancock at 1-800-995-4089. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I'm your host, Jeray for the Slay, and today we're talking about how to keep these beautiful, beautiful lips staying all day long. I know, it's kind of crazy how fast we eat through lipstick, lip gloss, lip tints, all of that stuff all the time. But I got a couple tips here for you to make sure that you're going to have that lasting long wear all day. Now, my favorite products to use for a long lasting lip look is going to be lip stains. Yes, lip stains can really transform a look to make sure that you're going to have a whole day's wear without having to touch up too much. Now, I want to go ahead and break the myth. Even if you put it on and it says it's going to stay all day, you're going to reapply at some point through the day. That's just what it is, my friends. I'm sorry, I do not have the magical answers here. You can do all of the 24-hour wear, all of that good stuff, but at some point, I bet you're going to eat or drink or have some sort of humanly function in which the lipstick is going to come off. That's okay though, that's all right. That's why we prepare, honey. That's why we have a plan A, B, and C. Okay, say it with me now, plan A, B, and C. So plan A, start with the lip stain for your day. This is a great way to make sure that you're gonna have a solid base and a good amount of color that's going to be long lasting. Now, I always like to go with something a little bit more with a little bit more of a pop, more of a bold finish. So then that way through the day, it's gonna transfer and it's gonna have a little bit more of a lighter effect by like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock when you're ready to hit those cocktails, okay? Now, when you're wearing a lip stain, look for something that's affordable, but still gonna give you that look. So I like lip stains from Ofra Cosmetics, LA Girl, MAC Cosmetics, and NARS. Those are my favorite lip stain companies. They have the best, and they're gonna make sure that you stay all day as well. Now, through the day, this is where we want to actually pick up that lipstick and use it to touch up. Yes, you can still use a lipstick. Get something that's going to be a color that complements your lip stain, or something that's going to add a little bit more of a brighter finish through the day, so you have this elevated look. You hear that? Elevated. So now we have plan A, which is our lip stain. Plan B is going to be our lipstick to touch up with. And plan C, my friends, go ahead and get yourself a little lip gloss, okay? Through by like 4 o'clock or so, our lips are feeling a little bit dry. We've been going and we've been talking to our bosses. You have that one argument with that coworker you know you can't stand, and you wrote 3 different emails biting your lips, which then bit off your lipstick, my friend. I know, I've been there too. Per the last email I sent, I know. So with that being said, instead of throwing on that lipstick again and creating that chunky feathered finish that we've all seen Suzanne in the corner have, put on a lip gloss. Yes, you're going to have 3 products through the day, but that's okay for your self-esteem and your sense of mind and peace, hunty, okay? So say it with me. Plan A is our lip stain, Plan B is a lipstick to touch up through the morning, and Plan C, when Susan gets on your last dang nerve and you write the email 3 times, make sure you pull out a lip gloss and rehydrate those lips for a perfect, beautiful smile. That's all the beauty tips for this week, guys. Make sure you're writing in at Jure for the Slay or at Daily Blast Live or right below for your comments, concerns, and how many times you've reapplied that lip gloss after Susan made you a little bit mad too. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Let's stop acting like the democracy that we know and that we teach our kids is still in place. The 3 branches of government has been shown to be ineffective. The executive branch completely came in and dominated the other 2 branches, and so this is what we have. Here we are. Enjoy your king.
Well, first off, we were going to do a Superstar of the Week, but I have to thank you. You were sort of our Superstar
You're
of the Week.
Superstar of the Week. You came a couple of days. Thanks for informing us.
And I want to talk to you. I asked one of my friends who works in news what happened after we tuned out of the Trump press conference, and some things that the CEOs of major companies like Target and Walmart came up and spoke. Trump had them all there. One thing that Walmart's doing is saying they're opening up to people walking out and getting their groceries delivered to their car, opening up their whole parking lot to that in some Walmarts. Is that a good idea?
I think that's a great idea because the more
Can you
explain that again? What do you mean?
So at Walmart, you can drive up and order your groceries in advance and get them delivered to your car. Walmart's opening up their whole parking lot to those options.
I see.
Instead of just a designated area.
I see. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So it's kind of like the drive-by testing. The less interaction people have in small, closed spaces, the better. So if you can stay within your car and get your groceries, that's a great way to do social distancing. So I think that's a wonderful idea.
What about Postmates, Grubhub? I'm hearing they should leave it at the door and then go back to the car so there's no interaction.
Absolutely, but you have to be careful with that because you don't know who's delivering your food.
I know.
And again, as we talked about earlier, if they've been infected, they could certainly.
See you Monday, same time, same place. Thank you.
Viral tweet claims to offer an easier, less expensive way to get tested for this coronavirus. Instead of a $3,200 test, just go donate blood. Quote, they have to test you for the virus in order to donate blood. There's a lot to break down in this message. Our sources, the Red Cross, the CDC, and the American Blood Centers. First point here, it gets the cost wrong. Right now, per the CDC, the coronavirus test doesn't cost anything. Now, people getting tested may have to pay for hospital stays and procedures at the hospital, but that cost will be different for each person. And it's worth noting, insurance companies and state and federal officials are working to lower or remove those costs. Next to the idea of donating blood because they have to test you for the virus. That's downright false. The Red Cross does test blood for illnesses and viruses, but not for the new coronavirus. It's brand new. That test can only be performed at the CDC and a handful of research locations around the country right now. This claim is false, but it could cause people to question or worry about donating blood. Here are some facts to help dispel those fears. 1, the Red Cross won't let anyone who is sick donate, period. And 2, there is no evidence that blood transfusions can give you the virus. Put simply, if you're healthy, it is safe to donate and receive blood. This is a big deal because right now, the Red Cross and American Blood Centers both need more donations. Turnout was already low due to the flu, and now the coronavirus is making people stay home and even causing some blood drives to be canceled. This tweet has been deleted, but unfortunately, it's being reposted and shared on other platforms. Remember, it's false and could lead people to doubt the blood donation process at a time when donations are needed. If you're seeing more claims like this, send us an email. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
What we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
From Disney World to Broadway, the shutdowns and cancellations just keep on coming because of the coronavirus. How social distancing could make a huge difference. But what about the infected people who don't follow the rules? Today's question, what penalty should there be for breaking quarantine? And Gloria Gaynor is giving everyone a little hand.
Honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2,
Welcome to DBL. It's Friday, March 13th. I'm here with Tori, Erica, Lindsay. I'm Jeff. Sam is still on maternity leave. Important day, guys. Let's get right to it. The president just held a press conference and made a big announcement. Let's take a look.
To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency. The action I am taking will open up access to up to $50 billion of very important and a large amount of money for states and territories and localities in our shared fight against this disease.
So he spoke moments ago. We're kind of foregoing our normal routine here, and we're just going to talk about what's going on in the world, obviously, with the president. Tori has recaps of what he said earlier, and then later in the show, we're going to have our friend Dr. Coley on the show to discuss more. So basically, we're just mirroring what you guys are talking about at home today.
Yeah, we're really talking about what you're talking about because we all heard the speech at the exact same time. Let me give you guys a rundown. He did enact, President Trump, a national emergency, meaning FEMA can now come out, states can now have money flooded to them. It's a good thing. It's not a panic thing. Number two, he said they're going to spend about $50 billion trying to fight this disease. That's a lot more than the $2 billion we were starting with. So I think that's great. And number three, he says 1.5 million tests are going to be here by next week, and we will have 5 million by the end of the month. Now, that is a shortage. We know that. He didn't address that. But at this point, the doctor was saying South Korea is out testing us 1 to 700. So that's a big deal. What we didn't hear, what I wanted to hear was some economic stimulus plans about paid family leave, which I think people are literally biting their fingers down to the bone. I think because Congress holds the purse strings, meaning they do money, you're going to hear that from Congress, meaning Pelosi might come out and say that. But now more than ever would be a better time. I would do it sooner rather than later.
And some of the things that he's doing is like student loan interest. He said he's going to work on that and getting those relief for people that are in school and weren't able to attend or had to work on things like that. He's waiving restrictions when it comes to that telecommunications with your doctor. So when you can call your doctor on the phone instead of going in person and helping less people get sick, he's waiving some of those restrictions. And for Medicare and Medicaid, which is elderly people that are getting sick by this, he's going to help waive some of those fees. So hopefully that's the beginning to the first step, and Congress takes the reins and really puts some real things in place that people can actually have that financial help.
Yeah. The what is it?
Teledoc?
Telehealth, yes. That's a really big deal because I have very decent insurance, and my insurance policy did not cover that at all until now. So that's a big deal for people.
So I've used that before. So just because you're feeling sick doesn't mean you necessarily have the coronavirus. Let's keep this in mind. It is still not a lot of people have it yet, but we want to prepare for it. That's what the nation's doing right now. But I've used that Teledoc before. That's what it's called with our company.
Me too.
And you just take pictures. My throat was swollen. I just took pictures in nice lighting, sent it to the doctor. They got back to me and actually wrote me a prescription over that Teledoc. So it's a great way to limit contact.
Well, and also, just so people are aware, the reason why I'm using that isn't even for a physical medical condition. I'm using that to communicate with my therapist. So for people who weren't able to do that before, now that's going to be an option to continue to use therapy.
Smart.
Didn't even think about that, but another great point. All right, guys, let's get to some stories right now. Everywhere you look, America is shutting down to try and slow down this corona pandemic. Disneyland is closing all of its parks, including Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and California Adventure. Meantime, more than 6 million kids across the nation are about to be out of school as 8 states announced closings next week. Major school districts like Los Angeles, San Diego, Houston, and Denver are also shutting their doors. I got to tell you, by the end of the weekend, I think it's going to be a lot more. Late night also has gone dark. Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers shows have all suspended production for the next few weeks. And on The View, 77-year-old Joy Behar announced yesterday that she's taking a break from the show just to be safe. Again, these are all precautionary measures. I was the first one to say I'm going to be worried if the NCAA shuts down. Now they're not even playing. I'm not worried at all. I'm not panicking. This is all precaution. We're going to have the doctor on again later to tell us it's to stop the spread of this virus. That's it.
And we're talking about like our livelihood, right? This is stuff like sports, entertainment shows that we watch. Like, we're not going to die without this stuff. So it's okay if we take a break and kind of step back from some of those things. What I'm worried about is the kids that are going to be home from school. A lot of people, like for example, with my sister and her daughter, my mom takes care of her. That would be her grandparent. So a grandparent taking care of a kid is putting them in a dangerous situation because the kids could easily contract the virus and have mild to no symptoms versus the grandparent who could contract contract it easily, and then it's more threatening to them. So that kind of scares me. And also with the affordability of parents, if we don't get this act enabled,
money
for people to be able to afford to have their kids home that long.
Right. But if everyone, and then we have to talk about the idea of people who are living paycheck to paycheck, which applies to a huge
it's 50%
segment
of the country. I looked up a study earlier today.
So what are we doing? And we kind of had this conversation. What are we doing in terms of an economic stimulus, or ensuring that people at least don't have to pay for mortgages or rent or whatever it is that's going to give relief? Sorry. Oh, I was going to say about the panic.
Yes.
So right before we came on, Dr. Coley was actually monitoring my pulse. So when we had this conversation.
Yes.
When I went to the store yesterday, and like, I know everything is fine, but there's something about like all of this stuff that is happening, and you come out and you like feel like you're covered in something, and you start to like have a little bit of panic.
Right.
So I want people to at least acknowledge what's happening, because I've just been like talking myself through this. I'm just being totally honest.
And
like having therapy
everyone's kind of feeling that, me included, and I'm not
because my chest has been like so compressed for the past like 48 hours, and I keep freaking out that it's something else.
Well, the doctor said, and I'm sorry to out her, but I know she'd be okay because she's going to be on the show. She feels it.
Right.
So just being super honest with everyone is, she said the one thing you could do is take a deep breath, which we all need to do, and realize that slowing down is probably a good thing for us.
And you saw me Wednesday on the show. I mean, we do the morning show together, and I was like, after that press conference and then the NBA canceled the sequence of events, I literally felt heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's normal. I'm not one to really panic, right? But I went to Costco yesterday. The lines weren't as crazy as it seems on the internet. I went to the grocery store this morning. But there is a little pep in everyone's step, like, I need to get there first. Like, they're going to run out of something. But then I get there and there's 100 of them. So I don't want everyone to panic. I understand this is something that we're all going through as a country. But it is a good time to press that reset button. The government needs to step up first and make sure everyone's okay on their bills. And then us as a nation need to call a friend that you haven't talked to in a while. Call a relative you haven't talked to.
Read a book.
In that
Sit
order.
down. Relax.
My husband and I had the conversation last night, and I was like, I hate that all of this is happening, and it does get scary at times. But how nice would it be for the first time in our lives to just have a second where you don't feel like you're missing something because the world is continuing to go and you've taken a pause.
That's the
like
silver lining.
Everything is kind of paused down. And I mean, it's not for the best reasons, but there is some relief. I swear my chest is like opening up again. Like, just thinking about it, like just the idea of having a moment, to like truly pause, and you know that you're not going to miss anything.
You're not missing your paycheck, your job shut down. It's just spend time with you and your loved one or your loved ones or your family. You relax. This doesn't matter. Everyone's at their house. It doesn't matter what's going on in here. It's time to talk. It's time to go back to the old days. And what are you feeling like?
And it's
I think this is a good thing.
I think so too, really quickly. It's what Buddhism, what I studied for years, that's all we're trying to do is pause. So if we could do that as a nation, we'll all be healthier. Really, the whole nation.
I think we're still going to have to be on a group text with Tori, just to be safe.
I'm fine. I'll take the Buddhist tips.
We'll be relaxing, and Tori will be like, what are you guys doing?
What are you guys up to? Can I come over?
No, I like this. I like the message that we're sending on today's show. Coming up, the coronavirus conversation continues. Backed by popular demand, we've been mentioning her all show, Dr. Coley. She's answering your questions live right after break. Then later, the weird connection between Gloria Gaynor's song, I Will Survive, and staying clean during the pandemic. And DIY queen Lauren Mack, and friend of our show, has advice for your next crafty project and explains why not everything has to be Pinterest worthy. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, guys? Tori here. We're just going around. A lot of you guys writing in. We're buddies. We're not fighting. When he cut me off, it wasn't a big. People are writing about that in the comments, and I just want to.
When did I cut you off?
When I was trying to say about something, and everyone's writing in, and I want to make sure people know we're totally buddies. We respect each other, and we talk like brothers.
When? I didn't even know I
When I was
cut
saying
you
something
off.
of the president being short.
When I said don't make it political?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I'll tell you guys, it has nothing to do with Tori. Me and Tori talk to each other all the time. You guys are crazy with your comments.
We're seriously very okay. People
Yeah,
like,
I cut Tori off about the politicizing things because I want to make this about the coronavirus, not about the president. Tori leans very opposite of the president, okay? So here's the president, Tori's on the other side. I know that as a show. I understand viewers out there support the president. I'm kind of the middleman in this whole situation. So I wanted to make it about the coronavirus, not get into how the president sounded, speculation and hearsay on all that, and dissect everything he said. When you talk to Tori by herself, she could say that. But if I'm here, I'm going to say, listen, let's keep it on the coronavirus.
Totally, but we're close. We're good friends. We're going to be social distancing, but we're still fine. So everyone
it's not
relax.
6 feet, Tori.
I know. Am I on this panel? Yes. Where am I?
So we're kind of
Let me
winging
know.
it today because obviously this is what everyone's talking about. The president just talked.
Oh, okay. No. I don't care. I can get off, whatever. No.
We got it.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to.
Welcome back to DBL. Back by popular demand is Dr. Pyle Coley to answer your questions about the coronavirus. Tori's very excited, but first we have an important topic. We want to start with the concept of exponential spread and how social distancing is really important right now.
Yeah, so Jeff, everyone is not buying into the concept of social distancing. Some people are saying we're overreacting, so I really want them to understand this concept so we can see why it's important. So exponential spread means if I get the virus today, I'm likely to infect 2 to 3 people. So that's the people at this table. Each of them is then likely to infect 2 or 3 other people. So that's up to 9. And then each of those 9 people are then likely to infect 2 or 3 others. So that's up to 27. So if that happens about 15 times, you go from 1 person to over 14 million people in just a few short weeks. And that's really what happens at events like big concerts like the one that we saw last night in Denver.
Right. We didn't get to that story about Post Malone, in case you guys didn't know, had a concert last night and 20,000 people were there in attendance. So maybe we'll get to that a little bit later, but I'm a Post Malone fan and I'm very disappointed in his whole management crew.
Me too. I was very upset when I saw that because even if a few people at that concert arena are exposed with the concept of exponential spread, they're going to take it home to all of these people and all of us, in fact, and the virus is just going to continue to multiply.
Wow. Well, all right. Well, let's get to the question. Sorry, I didn't know that was me. Beverly asks, are you still at a higher risk of contracting the coronavirus if you're a healthy and fit senior? I'm 61, but people think I'm in my 40s. First of all, go girl. Second of all, tell us about this, because I think my mom was like, but if you're not sick.
Yeah. So actually, age is an independent risk factor, regardless of your underlying health status.
So you can be healthy at 60, and it's still a problem.
Still a risk factor.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you're over 60 and have other risk factors, then those risks start to add up, and then your risk goes up even more. But age in and of itself was found in the studies to actually predict a higher risk, and that's because our immune response changes with our age, and that's what we're seeing with kids. Kids tend to have a milder immune response, and they're lower risk, and that's why even age by itself does predict risk.
Now, Ryan is worried about the same thing as me. I cleaned off my license and my cards last night. So he wants to know, can you get the coronavirus from touching cash or credit cards?
Yeah, good question, Ryan. So in China, they actually had to burn a large amount of cash because there is some evidence that coronavirus can last on surfaces for several hours to several days, particularly paper surfaces or plastic. So it's important to minimize touching cash, wash your hands after if you do, and keep your credit cards really clean, sanitize them.
And you said put cash in a plastic bag?
I would, yeah, just so that you don't touch it as much, or if you do touch it, then you remember to wash your hands.
So you're telling people to use mostly like online transactions or cards more than cash?
Yeah, I would say minimize touching cash as much as possible. If you have a credit card, keep it clean, and if you hand it to somebody else, then make sure you wipe it off after you get it back. But yeah, cards are probably a safer method than cash.
And sorry to interrupt, but China, they actually, they burned a lot of cash.
A lot of cash they had to burn.
Because the disease gets on there, you know. Kevin asked, and I want to say something after I say this. How long should I plan to postpone travel? I have a cruise planned for mid-June. And I think, think a lot of people are jumping to the cure of this rather than thinking of what I need to do to go through to survive today. And it's not a survival situation. Everyone's like, when is this going to be over and I can start my regular life? We need to be worried about right now.
Right. And this could be around for months. So let's kind of start thinking today and take it one day at a time rather than planning very far ahead. If you have travel plans, come up with contingencies because most likely they're going to get canceled or changed in some way. But you're exactly right, Jeff. You need to start thinking about today, what can I do? How can I socially distance? And then what comes tomorrow may remain.
But what if you have a wedding, let's say, and you're postponing it? Do they postpone it for like October, or am I postponing it for like a year from now? And maybe you can't answer that.
It's $1 million question.
Yeah.
I mean, what the studies are saying is most likely the virus is going to likely be around till the end of the year, probably next year and the year after. So this may become one of those viruses that we go get a shot for, just like the flu virus. But the rapid spread, that social distancing now can stop the rapid spread so that it will become just like a flu virus and not this kind of severe situation that we're in right now.
And we need to do our part. As a society, you might have a wedding planned. I'm sorry, but it might have to be postponed or not had at all right now. You know, like, we need to step up as a society, as citizens, and do our part. Companies need to step up and pay their employers. If they're off for 2 weeks, the government needs to step up and help people who live paycheck to paycheck if they can't pay their mortgage, or maybe mortgage companies step up. People need to know that we're going to take a loss this year, right? And they can't be like looking at their profit margin for the following year. This is a serious thing, and if we treat it serious, it'll go away. But if everyone's just looking out for themselves, it's never going to go away.
Right. So can we talk about the silver lining now?
Yes, please.
I need a shot, please. I know.
My God.
Does that help? Because I might have some later.
No, too much tequila is bad for your immune system. So, the togetherness that you're saying. This is the time to step up. This is the time to really show our humanity, our selflessness, to think about others, our community, before we think about ourselves. And I'm finding that very empowering.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Feel good. I feel good. We're having honest conversations here. Thank you, Dr. Coley. As always, you'll be back later in the show. Yes. And if you want to learn more information about the coronavirus, go to cdc.gov or the World Health Organization website. Dr. Coley is talking more about the virus in our commercial breaks. Everyone tune in now to our live feed on Facebook and YouTube. And remember, no panic, just prevention and precaution. That's Tori's new tattoo.
Yeah. It's long. It's long.
Did you?
Life hacks with the doctor. You want to do life hacks with us?
Oh, life hacks.
Okay, everyone, I'm going to get a book, and it's under the table, but stop.
Well, it's just people online, so they saw the clip earlier. So
Okay, I got it.
go ahead. They said they might do testing, and so they had all the CEOs of the companies, what we didn't see on air, come talk. So some people said Walmart is opening it up to people getting deliveries. Target said they might open their parking lot up for testing places. Is that a good idea? Because how many people are going to be still in Target? That might be bringing the virus to people shopping.
The more access points for testing, the more testing, the better off we're going to be, because the more we'll understand what this thing is doing.
So Target parking lot is a good place for that?
Yeah, as long as the people who are doing the testing are covered and protected appropriately. So in Colorado today, for example, they actually canceled the testing because it was snowing outside, and that can affect the ability of the protective gear to protect you.
Okay, we thought it's because they ran out of tests. We made up our own theory. We were like, why did they cancel this? We need tests. But now we hear from a doctor about why that possibly was canceled. I'm so happy to hear that because I was like, what? Okay, good news.
Welcome back to DBL. Lauren Mack is an interior design queen, TV host, and friend of the show. I'm obsessed with her. Earlier, she told me all about her new show, I'm so excited, Shop Class, and how there's no such thing as a mistake when you're being creative. That's our DBL Spotlight. One of my favorite human beings on this planet, Lauren Mack. Welcome to DBL. We're so excited to have you back as a friend of the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much. You know, I love you guys. This is a dream come true to be with you this morning.
It's so true. Now, you make DIY look easy, but it seems like there's some fierce competition in your new show, Shop Class. So you're a veteran when it comes to TV show competitions. You're no strangers to drama. How did it go, though, when kids are up against the clock?
Oh, man, you know, it's such a different ball of wax. Like, when these children get together, they're much more creative than I think even adults are.
Really?
I was so inspired by watching these children. Like, I used to even call them children. I'll call them students because they were really students of life. They really showed up and showed out.
I wanted to ask you this. Did you ever find them when you guys were on a break on their phones a lot? Were they like, was it hard to get them to switch from the screen to the shop?
Never. And you know what? That is exactly why I love Shop Class, our show, because it really is an homage to using your hands and your imagination and kind of getting off of the screen time and not utilizing the tablets and the iPads. That's what I love about this show. You know, whether you're 9 or 199, you can identify with being able to use your imagination, get creative, you know, get your hands on stuff and just try new things. This is an homage to that. It's about making and it's about getting your hands dirty again. And I never saw one of those kids on a phone.
That's awesome. Now, you've been crowned the DIY queen, which you are, but I want to know something. Ding! I am scared of DIY. So how do you convince someone like me to DIY instead of buy?
For me, I didn't just wake up. I wasn't just born a DIY queen, but thank you for the title.
You're very welcome, Your Majesty.
It's I've made a lot of mistakes. I've you know, messed up a lot of stuff, and it's all in the perfection of the craft.
Now, I do want to say, Mazel Tov, we're so thrilled about your pregnancy. We all saw the announcement on Good Morning America when you shocked us all. I want to know, were you nervous, A, to make the announcement, but B, you were trying to get a job while pregnant, and I want to know, just like Lauren to Tori, the DBL Nation wants to know, was that scary?
You know, it really is. It's such an exciting time in my life to have my second child be born and brought into this world, and I'm so excited about him coming into this world. It's a boy, by the way. Exclusive to DBL.
I'm so excited, exclusive.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren Mack, for chatting. You are my Mac attack. I'm so proud and so happy. I can't wait to see all the DIY masterpieces and your baby boy on Shop Class.
Thank you. I love you all.
We love you, Lauren. I love that curl. We'll be right back.
Yes.
Oh, cool. That's like her best Judy in the world.
I'm about to rob that, my Judy.
Judy.
Yeah, my Judy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Not Talking About the Coronavirus. Does anyone want to hear some life hacks?
Yes, tell me.
All right, Dre, get on in here.
For the slizzy.
For the slizzy to the jury.
I got invited to the table, y'all.
Yes.
The large boys. Wow.
Okay, these are for my smoker friends. If you are a smoker and can or don't want to quit, please drink more black tea. It helps prevent the lung damage caused by smoking.
Whoa, what if you just drink black tea, you don't smoke? Are you double good lungs?
That's a good question.
The tea, honey. Okay. Tori's like, you can't go beyond the life hack.
Got something in your eye. This applies to you for makeup, but Lindsay often has a bad eye like I do.
I do.
Get something, use your fingertips, hold your eyelashes, pull down your lid, and then blink rapidly several times to get rid of the foreign object.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Maybe a trick for me today was put massive amounts of sanitizer on your hand, and then if you touch your mouth, you'll taste disgusting. If you touch your eye, it'll burn to death, like it happened to me this morning.
Immediately after you get your makeup done.
Right.
This is interesting. I know Disney World, of course, immediately after you get your makeup done. But when Disney World comes back, you can actually request a wake-up call from any Disney character that you want.
Who would you take?
I would take
Donald Duck?
Oh,
Yeah.
I would just do classic Minnie.
Yeah, I was just about to say I would do Minnie
Minnie,
for
to me,
sure.
can I be super honest?
She's not classic?
A little too peppy for me.
Really?
Wow.
Too peppy. And I know I'm a peppy person, and maybe I'm fighting that within myself.
You know,
maybe
or-
I'm fighting the Minnie within.
Maybe I would actually go for Daisy Duck.
Ooh, she's cute.
I love her. She's so
But
cute.
wouldn't you be scared when you woke up and it's just like, and you're like, hello? Hello? All right, one last one. If you're walking in a bad area at night, call someone and stay in the line. If something happens,
What's
they
going
can
on?
call
Who's coming on the set?
the police.
Am I really on? Is this my moment, guys?
Is this
Did Jeray stay?
Hashtag Jeray stay.
Jeray stay. If you guys want Jeray to stay, hashtag Jeray stay right
Let's
in
do it. This is gonna happen anyway when coronavirus takes everyone out.
If Bird sees 30 Jeray stays here,
Can I
It's
be,
gonna happen.
And also, can I be
Right in
honest?
Jeray stay.
Jeray, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'll get up. I'm sorry.
no.
I'm sorry. I'll leave.
Jeray got a salon seat
Bert
at the
got
table.
us donuts to feel better, and I emotionally ate one that's real big. So now I have a sugar belly.
I do kind of too. I have a cruller. and-
A cruller?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Ooh, it's so good.
But you know about emotional eating?
It was good. Doing it.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments, and there's a lot of them, huh, Tori?
Yeah, a lot of people writing in. Margot just says the UPS guy just came to the door and needed me to sign for him. I declined to touch the rubber pen and asked him to sign for me. I gave him a travel-size Purell for his cooperation.
Destiny, our hair girl, works. Her boyfriend works there, and she told us that he has signed a lot of packages too because people don't want to touch the pen either.
Yeah.
So it's a thing that makes sense. If you're not going to make sure it's not washed, or you don't want to go through the whole sanitizing thing, just ask them to sign for you.
Another thing people are writing in, we should mention this, is to tip the people a lot right now because they are going through a gig economy that no longer has any gigs. So if you do see someone, tip generously, I would think. Just passing that along.
If you're going out, but I'm telling you, it's time for bosses to step up
I feel
and take
you.
care of their employees. Here's what's coming up next on DBL.
Fans are freaking out about Betty White getting the coronavirus, how our national treasure is putting our minds at ease, and hand washing tips with a familiar tune when DBL comes back.
Recent days, people have been talking about flattening the curve when it comes to fighting coronavirus, but what does that mean? Let's connect the dots. A disease specialist at Harvard estimates up to 60% of people could contract coronavirus. And while public officials are working to slow the spread of the virus, stopping it completely might be impossible. Yet slowing the speed of the outbreak could be vital to saving lives. It's called flattening the curve. The curve is a huge spike in cases that could overwhelm the American health system. Hospitals right now are already dealing with a bad flu season. If they are inundated with coronavirus patients, there may not be enough beds or critical equipment like ventilators available. That's why public health officials want to cancel mass gatherings, encourage people to work from home, and practice social distances. Those tactics may not stop the spread, but it could flatten the curve. Connecting the dots, I'm Janelle Bluda for H-Town Rush.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Right off the dance floor at a wedding. That's disco legend Gloria Gaynor washing her hands to her iconic song, I Will Survive. The video is getting a ton of views amid the corona pandemic, and it's inspired others to take the I Will Survive challenge. It's actually one of the songs on Rita Wilson's quarantine playlist. She and her husband Tom Hanks tested positive, are in isolation in Australia as we speak. Tom updated fans on Instagram saying they are taking it one day at a time, and quote, despite all the current events, there is no crying in baseball. Obviously, that's a throwback from his movie A League of Their Own. You guys were getting down to
I Will Survive. I mean, if we're going to do the other dance, the TikTok one, we got to do hers. That's a real legend singing there.
You know what sucks when you don't know how to dance? All you do is this.
Like I said, you guys were almost on the dance floor, but you guys were like right on the side, like sipping your drink.
Three aunties.
Yeah. I'm an auntie.
The young, cool aunties. We've still got it.
Between that and Yes Sister yesterday, I'm done with both of you guys.
I think it's a good idea and very sad that we have to have a challenge to wash your hands, but a good idea that people are getting on board and washing their hands more.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad people are being safe. I got to be honest, how many times I've seen people walk out of a bathroom in so many different settings, just walking straight out from the stall out the door.
At least
and I've seen it with my own eyes.
Put the tap on.
And it's still like, you're nasty, I'm ignoring you. But now it's like, no, you really are putting people in danger. Wash your hands.
Would you say something now?
Yes, I would. You know why?
Really?
Because it's negligent in a way. And I would say, hey, you know, remember 20 seconds. It's not rude.
Because they touched that doorknob that you need to open to get out of the bathroom.
I was in the bathroom behind one of our producers, Taylor, and she was like, I'm sorry, Lindsay, I'm going to be a while. And she literally did the happy birthday song twice. So
I told Karen, take your time. She did the whole thing.
Yeah, we got time. Wow. Our health has the time.
This is how we have to do things now, because especially if there's only one sink or there's like two and there's a lot of people, then you get the soap, you get your hands, and then you do your whole thing. So the next person can start theirs. It's actually like an assembly line.
Working together.
Yeah, and make sure that you get your tissue or whatever you're wiping your hand with and dry it, and then turn off the sink with the tissue.
And then take that tissue and open the door with it and throw it out.
Yeah. I got the hand motions that you guys are showing me. In case people didn't understand how to do those things.
Well, hey, we got a whole song about washing your hands. Ooh, I saw this gospel one about soap and water. It was so good. We're going to have to put it on the show. Sorry.
All right, guys, well, we'll get to that. After the news that Tom Hanks contracted coronavirus, fans of another Hollywood legend started freaking out. But it turns out 98-year-old Betty White is doing just fine as usual. A rep for the Golden Girls star confirmed the news to the Today Show, but only after fans started tweeting their concern. One person saying, someone get Betty White into her own quarantine. We can't lose her. And another you says, our top priority right now should be protecting Betty White from the coronavirus.
Seriously?
Poor Betty White, there's always like this hoax death around her, and she's going strong.
When she trends on Twitter, everyone's like, why is Betty White trending on Twitter?
I know.
Right? And you're like, it's okay, it's her birthday. Oh, thank God.
I mean, she has the Guinness record, I believe, for the longest person in entertainment as far as like film, TV. So like, I mean, we need her. She's a legend.
And we need Tom Hanks also. He's also a legend. I will say that I was going to say something about Betty White. Now I got into
She's a legend?
Yeah. Oh, RBG, that was it. Ruth Bader Ginsburg also is very frail and immunocompromised. Please wrap her up in bubble wrap.
Yes.
She's our national treasure, according to me.
Well, I'm sure they're both in quarantine doing what they're supposed to do. Not that they have it, but I'm sure they're isolating themselves from the outside world.
Yeah.
Well, we wish her all the best here. How much responsibility do artists have if they still are performing at large concerts? This story's got me really fired up. I'm not even joking. Last night, the Post Malone concert in Denver was packed at the Pepsi Center, which holds up to 20,000 people. This is the exact same venue where Denver's NBA team, their NHL team, would have been playing had their season not already been suspended. But should concerts like this, do I even need to ask this question to you guys, still be happening? I'm really upset about this because this did happen here in Denver. And that just means 20,000 people, if one person has that there and it kind of spreads, they're going out into the Denver metropolitan area where we're all at. Yeah. And that was a big misstep, and that's saying it lightly, by Post Malone. I don't blame him. I blame his management team.
I blame Post Malone. You're an adult. Cancel the concert.
You're right. You're right.
To be honest,
I'm trying
you're
to.
not a kid, and be an adult and cancel the concert.
Until people really start to say, okay, if you are doing this one thing and it affects my grandmother, then you'll put them in the shoes of the person being the person affected.
Yeah,
right?
my grandpa could die.
Right. So that you have to really realize, like, yes, all you guys are young and they're having a good time, but when you step out of there, getting your Uber, and then somebody's 60-year-old mom gets in an Uber another day because they have to go somewhere, like the grocery store, and don't have a car, then you have to think about those kind of things. Like, what exactly are you doing to impact somebody long term?
Like, flattening the curve doesn't exclude Post Malone. There's no, like, bloop for Post Malone or people who want to go to concerts. Flattening the curve is everyone.
But here's the thing. I mean, we're not that far removed from being 20-something, and we thought that we were. We aren't. I mean, we didn't think about those things. Like, we didn't think about tomorrow. Everything was about, like, I was bartending 6 nights a week. It was about day to day. Maybe I was thinking about next week. So when we are getting articles that are like millennials on coronavirus, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's like until something actually gets implemented or until it starts to affect them, then we're having a different discussion. Because think of all the dumb things that you did when you were 20. I'm sorry, but you do dumb things. Because you don't have any real consequences.
My parents told me don't do that, and I went ahead and did it, like go to a Post Malone concert. Somebody should have been a grown-up from that place and said, this concert is not going on.
I think the president had a responsibility, to me, to say all public events, 250 plus across the nation, were going to be canceled. People were looking for a lot of things. I know he couldn't please everybody in one news conference, but I hope that coming down the line at Congress, somebody says this has to stop, and we're saying it has to stop.
You're right. I'm with you. And I'm also with Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom. Good transition. All right. They're returning to the U.S. amid the virus outbreak. Katy Perry left Australia after canceling a number of press events. The pregnant singer was reportedly staying at the same Sydney area hotel as Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, which had been on lockdown for 24 hours. Orlando told his Instagram followers they stopped production on Carnival Row in Prague and that he'll be quarantined when he gets back here to the U.S. He's pretty calm about it.
Yeah, he seems calm.
Stay safe out there, self-quarantine. It seems really crazy, actually, this whole corona thing, but do the right thing by you and your family and stay safe. And in a few weeks, we'll beat this bad boy.
I like that attitude.
Yeah, right. Calm, serious. Stay with your family and sacrifice.
But what about then, just because they're celebrities? We had a story earlier about a man who got on JetBlue, he was awaiting his coronavirus test, and people are wondering what his punishment should be. Are they flying private, or are they flying on a regular plane? Like, she was in a hotel that was locked down.
That's true.
Pregnant too.
Yeah, the pregnancy really scares me. I think at some point we're just going to see the whole world sort of slow down for a hot second, and the best thing in that silver lining, as we talked about earlier, is the possibility of breathing a little bit easier, slowing everything down, relaxing the stimulus that we see every day. Maybe don't go on Twitter 25,000 times and just talk to each other.
And even us in TV, you see, like, once you start to understand where the entertainment industry is going, right? First you saw Good Morning America, now you're seeing all the late night shows today, and it just it's like we follow each other's lead. Like, what does it look like for your partners? It has to be one employer to say we're going to be the first one.
Yeah, the domino effect, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. I think it's going to be a good thing, at least for me and my family, to sit down if we do have a break.
Right.
And turn the world off, so to speak, for a little while. You know what I think?
Maybe America needs that.
I think we do. I think we got to a point, and again, I don't mean to bring up like another power out there, but life has a way of balancing out, and this might.
I mean, 2020 has been insane from January to now.
I don't know what's going on. To this,
Kobe dying. Like, how can that all happen in 3 months of a year?
Let's keep it positive. Let's keep it. We're going to bring the doctor back. She's going to calm us down and everyone at home down. Coming up after the break, the good doctor is back. Like I said, Dr. Pyle Coley is answering more of your coronavirus questions. So keep them coming. Go to Facebook or YouTube, search Daily Blast Live, and please send us your questions.
All right.
Welcome back to DBL. We're so lucky to have Dr. Coley stick around to answer all of our coronavirus questions. And Lindsay, you want to kick it off for us?
Yes, so Stacy asked, if I'm feeling sick, should I go get tested just in case? And if I'm positive, then what? Especially after what Trump just said, I want to know your response to that.
Absolutely, yes. But call first because the hospital needs to be prepared for you. And if you're positive, depending on how you're doing and your symptoms, they may ask you to go back home and self-isolate, or they may keep you in the hospital.
Wow. Okay. Janessa asks, this is a great one, Janessa. Can the virus live on surfaces? Like, can you get it from touching a door handle and then touching your face? And like, should you wipe your suitcases if you've been traveling?
Yes, in fact, that is one of the ways we think the virus is transmitted. So it's not just direct respiratory droplets, but it's sustaining on surfaces. You touch it, and then you touch your face, and you can get it. Wow. The suitcases is a really good point.
You can sanitize.
So many people touch your suitcase too.
Right.
You know, and it goes from hand to hand to hand, and you don't think about it, but it's important to wipe that down.
All right, Damien asks this. Concerts and huge events like Post Malone we just talked about are getting canceled, but should we avoid public places entirely, movie theaters, restaurants, the mall, etc.?
Let me guess. Yes.
It's an absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we're at the stage where social distancing is critical. And that means restaurants, that means parties, housewarming parties. I was invited to a birthday party this weekend that I'm not going to. That's actually been called off. So yes to all of those questions.
Listen, I'm going to ask a personal question.
Yeah.
I got a hankering for some chicken wings tonight. I'm not even joking. There's a little pub next to my house. Can I order them and go pick it up, or should I just cook something at home?
I think you can if you're going out. If you're going out, you need to have that social distancing. So when you go to the pub, make sure you're not going at a time where it's super crowded or packed. And if there are a lot of people there, then maybe ask them to bring it out to you instead.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. That's a good idea. And I also like chicken wings as well. I just wanted to let people know.
Chicken wings do not protect against the coronavirus.
All right. Says you.
Yeah. How does she know, doctor? A lot of people writing in asking about food, if food can cross-contaminate, and also Amazon packages. They should leave it at the door. You shouldn't get into contact with them. Am I right?
Yes, and when you're actually handling the package, particularly if it's coming from another country or even within the country now, you should wipe it down. And then before you touch your face, you need to wash your hands because, again, this can live on surfaces.
So wipe down your Amazon packages then.
And some people are asking, like, what's the difference between the coronavirus and flu and things like that? Like, if they're feeling sick, should they waste one of those tests?
So that's an important question, and let your doctor make that decision because there's so much overlap between the symptoms. In general, both flu and coronaviruses cause systemic symptoms. So fever is the big one, muscle aches, feeling achy, but the big one that really stands up for coronavirus is a shortness of breath. So you can get a cough with the flu also, but shortness of breath should really send off alarm bells.
And I have a question. I keep getting this viral information online that says...
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. Oh my God, I love her.
She's right on it.
There's a test that I got from at least 10 different people online saying if I hold my breath and this, is that test true?
Oh, the Japanese doctor?
Yeah, like, is that a true test that if you hold your breath for 10 seconds?
People might have seen it. They said if you hold your breath for 10 seconds without pain, you don't have a fibrosis in your lung. Is that at all? It's going rampant.
Because I got it from so many people who don't even know each other, and I want to know, am I doing this for no reason?
Yes, because there's no scientific evidence.
Every day I'm like, I did it too. Me too. I did it every day.
So essentially what that's doing is training your lungs. So doing deep breathing exercises every day makes your lungs more resilient. And what this virus does is it attacks the lungs. It actually tricks the lungs, the immune system, into attacking the lungs. So your body's attacking your lungs in addition to the virus. So if you have very strong lungs that underlying, the likelihood that you're going to need a ventilator and things like that is a lot less.
Okay, so it's a little bit true.
But there's a lot of leaps there. So there's no scientific evidence.
It's not A pointing to B. It's like A to X maybe.
Right.
Nice.
Right. So it probably won't hurt you to do it.
Yeah.
It's good for your lungs.
They
but
said
I'm not sure it'll help with the
Do you have any message for everybody sending around information online? Because I think a lot of people are believing it, especially if I work in news and media and I'm doing the test at home.
Yeah, I would say be really careful because at a time like this, misinformation is almost more dangerous because it can lead you down the wrong path. So find a couple of sources that you rely upon, whether that's your doctor's office or whether that's the CDC, WHO, or a doctor that you believe is reliable. Dr. Fauci always says the truth. So
I love Dr. Fauci. I love him. He talks like this. He's like, let me tell you what's going on. And he's Harvey Fires. I love him.
He really does.
He's been very honest about the shortcomings as well.
And I'd rather people just be blunt and honest with us, including the top.
And same for the physicians, because we're getting a lot of mixed information as well from the government and all of that. So I have really appreciated that honesty. It's very refreshing.
We're getting a comment in from Michael Loveland right here, guys, saying wash hands after with receiving deliveries. What about bags and boxes, meaning shopping bags? Shopping, I mean, you shouldn't be shopping, but if you are today, do you wipe it down?
Well, so plastic and paper are also things that it can last on for a few hours to a few days. So at this point, you should operate under the assumption that everything you touch could potentially be contaminated. Now, how long it lasts on the surfaces depends on the humidity, the temperature, how much virus got on there, so many factors. But you should really honestly just be operating as if anything that you touch that's not yours, that hasn't been sanitized, could have virus
Do we know
particles on
this
it.
quickly, like from studies? If I did pick up the virus, let's say you could see it, and then I sanitize my hands or wash my hands, is the virus now gone?
No, okay, so sanitizing doesn't actually get rid of the virus, it just kills the germs. So sanitizing kills the germs but leaves them on your hand. Washing with soap and water actually washes them off your hands.
That's why washing is better.
That's why washing is better, because you're actually getting it off. But it's important to get lots of friction, because friction is what gets those germs off, and it's important to get in between the fingers and under the fingernails.
The webbing, I heard.
Very good.
So in addition to that song, I Will Survive, you're going to be going in between the fingers and under the fingernails.
Overdo it.
Yeah.
Thanks for answering all of our questions. I just remembered it's Lent, so I can't eat those chicken wings till tomorrow. But thank you regardless. Thank you, Dr. Coley. Remember, no panic. Like Tori says, you want to say it, Tori?
Yeah, no panic, just facts.
There you go. That was easy.
Your tattoo.
Your favorite line, Tori?
All right, we'll be right back.
No, prevention and precautions.
But that's not what you said yesterday.
We'll be back. We'll be right back.
My thing is,
It's been one of the stranger reactions to coronavirus concerns. People around the globe stockpiling toilet paper. So why are scared shoppers stocking up on rolls? Let's connect the dots. First of all, this is not only an American problem. It's not just your neighborhood Costco limiting how much toilet paper you buy. There have been reports in Australia, Germany, and England of people clearing out shelves. According to a clinical psychologist, this is a pretty classic human response to fear and confusion. Because this coronavirus is new, and we're still learning about the risk it poses, some people are panicking and making irrational purchases. And that's the other problem, because humans are social creatures. When we see someone else doing something, we want to do it too, like panic buying toilet paper. But experts agree you don't need a lifetime supply, just enough to get you and your family through 2 weeks if you end up quarantined.
Let's stop acting like the democracy that we know and that we teach our kids is still in place. The 3 branches of government has been shown to be ineffective. The executive branch completely came in and dominated the other 2 branches, and so this is what we have. Here we are. Enjoy your king.
Welcome back to DBL. You know what time it is? It's tax filing time, and budgetologist Felicia Jones is here to discuss ways to get a bigger tax refund on today's Dollars and Cents presented by John Hancock. Felicia, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We love having you here, and who doesn't like to get that big fat check from the man,
I
Felicia?
know. I haven't gotten one in years, so.
Maybe you can walk us through on how other people might be able to get that.
Yes, we'll definitely do that. All right, so when it comes to tax filing season, you know, we always want to figure out how to get the biggest refund
Absolutely.
ever. So the first thing you want to do is assess your filing status. For those who are married, you want to look at filing jointly or filing separately. And also for single people, you want to look at filing single or head of household. And that's a very distinct one. If you are taking care of a dependent person, you could actually get a few more credits on your tax return.
Okay, who specifically could be added on as a dependent?
When it comes to a dependent, it can be an elderly parent or, taking care of a cousin. So you have to really work with your tax accountant just to see who qualifies as a dependent that you're taking care of in your house.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to claim all deductions and credits. Now, when we get to deductions and credits, sometimes we just forget. The first one is charitable contributions. Sometimes we forget all of the money that we donated, the clothes that we donated. We can actually write that off on our taxes, so don't forget that.
So when you go like to Goodwill and they give you that little piece of paper,
actually,
hang on to
yes,
that.
put it in. I put mine in the glove compartment and bring it out during tax time.
Good idea.
So remember that. The other one is student loan interest. Sometimes we forget to claim our student loan interest. And then finally, all of the state income taxes that you paid the previous year.
Right.
Sometimes we forget that little card that comes in the mail. You can absolutely put that on your taxes, and that'll help you start getting that bigger tax refund. The final thing that you want to do is you can still make last-minute contributions to HSAs and IRAs, and you can still open up an account up until April 15th and max it out. And that will definitely lower your taxable income and help you get that big fat paycheck.
We talked about that before.
We've talked about it before.
Felicia, always putting money in my pocket.
I love it. I love it. And the final thing, always double check your math, proofread so that you don't forget anything, and meet the deadlines. Sometimes, we forget the deadlines and we'll start paying more money.
All right, and nobody wants that.
No, we don't want to pay more money.
We don't want to give it out.
No.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Always great having you here. To submit your financial questions for the next Dollars and Cents, please email Ask Mrs. Jones at dailyblastlive.com. And for info about life insurance and retirement planning, call John Hancock at 1-800-995-4089. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I'm your host, Jeray for the Slay, and today we're talking about how to keep these beautiful, beautiful lips staying all day long. I know, it's kind of crazy how fast we eat through lipstick, lip gloss, lip tints, all of that stuff all the time. But I got a couple tips here for you to make sure that you're going to have that lasting long wear all day. Now, my favorite products to use for a long lasting lip look is going to be lip stains. Yes, lip stains can really transform a look to make sure that you're going to have a whole day's wear without having to touch up too much. Now, I want to go ahead and break the myth. Even if you put it on and it says it's gonna stay all day, you're going to reapply at some point through the day. That's just what it is, my friends. I'm sorry, I do not have the magical answers here. You can do all of the 24-hour wear, all of that good stuff, but at some point, I bet you're going to eat or drink or have some sort of humanly function in which the lipstick is going to come off. That's okay though, that's all right. That's why we prepare, honey. That's why we have a plan A, B, and C. Okay, say it with me now, plan A, B, and C. So plan A, start with the lip stain for your day. This is a great way to make sure that you're gonna have a solid base and a good amount of color that's going to be long lasting. Now, I always like to go with something a little bit more with a little bit more of a pop, more of a bold finish. So then that way through the day, it's gonna transfer and it's gonna have a little bit more of a lighter effect by like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock when you're ready to hit those cocktails, okay? Now, when you're wearing a lip stain, look for something that's affordable, but still gonna give you that look. So I like lip stains from Ofra Cosmetics, LA Girl, MAC Cosmetics, and NARS. Those are my favorite lip stain companies. They have the best, and they're gonna make sure that you stay all day as well. Now, through the day, this is where we want to actually pick up that lipstick and use it to touch up. Yes, you can still use a lipstick. Get something that's going to be a color that complements your lip stain, or something that's going to add a little bit more of a brighter finish through the day, so you have this elevated look. You hear that? Elevated. So now we have plan A, which is our lip stain. Plan B is going to be our lipstick to touch up with, and plan C, my friends, go ahead and get yourself a little lip gloss, okay? Through by like 4 o'clock or so, our lips are feeling a little bit dry. We've been going and we've been talking to our bosses. You have that one argument with that coworker you know you can't stand, and you wrote 3 different emails biting your lips, which then bit off your lipstick, my friend. I know, I've been there too. Per the last email I said, I know. So with that being said, instead of throwing on that lipstick again and creating that chunky feathered finish that we've all seen Suzanne in the corner have, put on a lip gloss. Yes, you're going to have 3 products through the day, but that's okay for your self-esteem and your sense of mind and peace, hunty, okay? So say it with me. Plan A is our lip stain, Plan B is a lipstick to touch up through the morning, and Plan C, when Susan gets on your last dang nerve and you write the email 3 times, make sure you pull out a lip gloss and rehydrate those lips for a perfect, beautiful smile. That's all the beauty tips for this week, guys. Make sure you're writing in at Jure for the Slay or at Daily Blast Live or right below for your comments, concerns, and how many times you reapplied that lip gloss after Susan made you a little bit mad too. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Let's stop acting like the democracy that we know and that we teach our kids is still in place. The 3 branches of government has been shown to be ineffective. The executive branch completely came in and dominated the other 2 branches.
Welcome back to DBL. So interesting week here.
Yeah, we kind of played it a little bit more loose, I think. And I think, to be honest, the audience, we're always real with the audience. We're learning this as you're learning it.
Absolutely.
So we have to be real.
Stay safe, be a good neighbor. More than anything, be a good citizen.
Yes.
Do what's right. All right, guys, we'll see you same time, same place.
Have a great weekend.
Be safe this weekend, guys. We'll see you Monday.